Welcome back to the kick-off. We are fresh off of a 6-0 demolition job from Arsenal onto West Ham. Jacob, I'm going straight to you, bro. You've been wanting this. They've delivered.
I'm not allowed to celebrate, mate. I'm not allowed. I've got to be careful. I've got to be careful, man. I don't want to be thrown in jail by the celebration police. I've got to be very careful.
Did you see that they've accused you of stealing celebrations as well?
I know.
Who said that?
Curtis Jones.
Yeah, Jones.
Jurgen Klopp created the fist pump. I never knew, man. My dad was.
He's got his own emoji. And that's the last time we'll see Jurgen Klopp fist pump this week. What a shame. No, mate, you must be buzzing, man.
I am, mate. Yeah. Listen. After City got another routine win yesterday, and I think they've won every game in the last 2 months, Man City now.
Fuck me.
Mate, it's after everything last week, beating Liverpool, then you watch that and it's hard not to be a bit sort of, oh, God.
They didn't play amazing,
They didn't play amazing, but that's the whole point, isn't it? They just still win games.
They're so fucking boring, aren't
they? Haaland scores goals, they win games. But then today, 6-0 against West Ham. West Ham was so bad.
West Ham literally continued right where they left off against Man United.
Yeah.
But even in the Man United game, they were at least threatening. And that was like a back and forth of like who can defend the worst.
Yeah.
But what today showed, it's not like a backhanded thing against Man United. It's just Man United didn't look great in that game, and yet they still won 3-0, and that's what we all agreed on. This is what happens when a proper side turns up and you still play like that.
Yeah. And a set of proper defenders in Gabriel and Saliba can pocket Jarrod Bowen. And it's a weird thing. Jarrod Bowen scored so many goals for West Ham, and like he's an amazing player, but surely they need a centre forward there as well so that Bowen could move away from that a bit, because he was just getting swallowed up by Gabriel Saliba today. But yeah, look, it's a statement win. It's what we need to do. But we're going to need to do that for 4 months now if we're going to keep up. Yeah, I know it's relentless.
You know, when you say that, it's like it really just shows how hard it is to win a league.
It's relentless. Yeah. That's the Premier League.
There was a point today where I looked at the stats. I can't remember. It was like 15 shots to 1. It was that pathetic.
That was at the start of the second half.
And this is West Ham.
That actually was. That was literally
21-1.
Yeah,
21
and
to 1
this is West Ham, who if they'd won, I don't know, they would have been in the top 6 probably. They're 8th in the league. Like, this is one of the better sides, and people tell me how competitive the Premier League is, and it's like, I mean.
I think what's happened this season, you're seeing this with a lot of clubs, and we've all got clubs who've got injury problems. I think you're just seeing that, like, the last sort of 2 or 3 years of club football has been mental. Like post-lockdown with Winter World Cup, stuff like that. And I just think you're seeing teams that are knackered. I think every team looks knackered. Every team has got a stacked injury list. Every team, like, there's a reason there are so many strikers in the Premier League who started off so cold. There are so many strikers, like Richarlison started off cold. Hojlund started off cold. Suddenly they're all scoring goals. Why is that? Because defences are knackered. There's so much more space in games now.
That's such a logical point.
But there was a statistic this week that, like, there are so many more goals in games now. Like, teams are conceding more goals.
Newcastle have conceded fucking like an average of 3 in the last 2 games.
Yeah. So since we played you, since we played you at St James's Park, you've had the worst defence in the league. Before that, you had the second best.
Are you saying you softened us up?
No. What I'm saying
is, he was pointing at you as well.
Mate, I've got PTSD from that game. I don't know if you remember. Things happened on that pitch, mate. There are things I'm not happy about.
Mate.
But no,
ironically, a bit of the same thing that you were doing to the keeper today, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
so learn from the best.
You can't beat them, join them. You have to do what you've got to do. But, no, but I think teams look knackered. There are a lot of good teams teams like Brighton, who we know they've got a good manager. We know they've got good players, but they're inconsistent in results this season because a lot of teams who don't have the depth that City have got, the depth that Liverpool have got, they look tired at this point in the season. And I think it's an interesting one to sort of come onto the game today of like Villa and United, teams who've got a bit of depth, a bit of quality. And what you're seeing now is even though, United at certain points this season, we were talking about them finishing bottom half, they've just risen up because they've got the quality. And I think at this point in the season, that's what happens. The quality just rises to the top.
And for me, the annoying thing about that is it's a pay-to-win situation now, where earlier in the season, I feel like managerial ability and tactics were having more of an impact. And now we're just saying, like, my firepower is better than your firepower. And I definitely think Ten Hag is reaping the benefits of that because, like I say, in that West Ham game, look, bang average Man United, but when they went forward, their strikers could finish. West Ham's couldn't. Before we move on from West Ham fans abandoning ship at half time. Not that I blame them. I mean, it was terrible. Moyes has got to be starting to get under pressure again because they just don't enjoy him as manager to start off with. But they'll tolerate him because he's won a trophy and he generally has got them fairly high in the league. But I feel like he'll have much less of a bit of leeway than from the fans.
I think Moyes has been under pressure for about 2 years. Like all of the West Ham fans that I know absolutely hate Moyesy, and like part of me is like I kind of understand because the football isn't the best football in the world. They don't necessarily have a tactical system that you can really identify as being unique or innovative. But then you look at what he did with the European trophy. Like that's the first trophy they've won in how long? Like 40 years or something ridiculous.
They've had bad results this season. Do you remember they got pumped by Fulham? 5-0 as well. And it's just like, bro, like at home to lose 6-0, I think it's a no-go.
I honestly,
I don't care who you're playing.
Yeah.
At home should be hard. You should be hard to beat. Do you know what I mean?
And that stadium is a really difficult stadium to go to. I mean, look, our Chelsea fans, we're absolute shit at that stadium now. We really, really are. So the question I have for you guys is, do you think they're in a little bit of a false position in the league at the moment? Like where they are, like obviously 8th, they were in 6th before this game or the game before. That's very high up. That's a serious team. They're better than Newcastle, Brighton, Chelsea, that's
yeah,
right
but then
up.
do you not think with their recruitment, like I get that they lost Declan Rice, but they've brought in Kudus, they've obviously gone and got Ward-Prowse, Alvarez. They've brought some good players. They're in the stadium now, feet under the table. It's like when Arsenal first moved to the Emirates, you realise that for a couple of seasons things were going to have to go a little bit slow. They're probably thinking, right, we were sold this vision, let's have the success now. And they have had that success last season, and maybe he's at fault of having that success, and now the fans are a little bit more hungry for it. But I think that when you look at sacking Moyes, what are you going to get? You get another manager in who, might elevate your league standing ever so slightly.
Might play better football, might create more chances, much more entertaining football. But why would you want that?
No, but in my opinion, in my opinion,
I'm just speaking for West Ham fans because I know they'll be wanting us to say that.
I do get it, but what I would say is, in my opinion, this season he's the manager that's going to have the best chance of winning you the Europa League. I don't think they'll win it, but he's still the manager that's going to have the best chance of it, unless you're going on about an Unai Emery, someone like that at Villa. Like, there's not really anyone who I would look at and go, right, with this squad of players, they're going to get better results. And let's remember, their results in Europe are still really, really positive. I think they set a record, and it was set this season, but it obviously goes back before, the longest unbeaten run by any English team in European competition. That's mental. West Ham. I get they're in a lower level European competition, but still to be doing that. So I don't know, man. I think that the fact that fans aren't really having him is always going to go against him. But
there's certain managers who just, no matter what they do, will never be a sexy manager.
I just think Moyes is an easy manager to hate on.
Moyes can be sexy. He can be sexy.
But I think a lot of mid-table teams have this similar conundrum. If they'll either get a kind of Moyes or Hojlund or someone, they'll have this
a steady guy,
safe guy who sort of keeps it steady.
That's why I said he's not sexy, because safe isn't sexy.
But then they get bored. Then the fans get fed up, and they want, we want attacking football and attractive football. Then you get a younger, more progressive manager, and it goes well for a while. Then they lose a few games. The owners start worrying they're going to get relegated, and it's back to the old guy.
Bro, it's a lot like being a man.
What's happened with Vieira?
And picking a woman. Do you want the safe one who's boring in bed but looks after you, or do you want the exciting, crazy one who might just chuck all your shit out the window one day?
I love both.
Do you know?
Really and truly, you want both, innit? You want a bit of both.
This is where Mad Dog comes in, right? Mad Dog. Shout out to Tyndall. But no, I'm just looking at actually in terms of, I understand the West Ham situation because they're in the period of time that they've been working on this long-term project. They've watched Newcastle ascend. They've watched Spurs bring big Ange in. They've watched Villa change their manager and have great success. So I guess they're watching clubs that they feel like they're in the similar bracket to kick on, and they're not kicking on quite. Even though they've won that trophy, I think that they're capable as a club of doing even more.
Villa would be the one I think they'd look at. I think they'd look at Emery at Villa and they'd go, you can look at Newcastle and go, look, a lot of money's coming and we can't compete financially. They'll look at Spurs and they'll go, well, look, Spurs had such talent in Kane and Bale, players like that who were there for a long time, really good for a long time, went for a lot of money, they could reinvest like that, and they don't really have that. But they'll look at Villa and go, well, what did Villa have that we didn't have? Why couldn't we go for an Emery? And they'll look at that and go, when you're at that kind of position in the table, when you're sort of like upper half pushing for Europe, Emery's the ideal manager. I mean, I've said it before. I don't think he was ever right for Arsenal. I don't think he'd be right for a team that wants to win Premier League titles. But if you're in that kind of cluster, just outside the sort of Champions League places, wanting to push Europa League, wanting to go far in those competitions, a manager like Emery is kind of perfect.
Well, I mean, he's got them in the top 5. They are currently 8 points clear of Manchester United. I'm looking at their last 3 fixtures, and what's really good about this is we've got Chelsea fan, Newcastle fan. We played them in the last 3 games. So Newcastle beat Villa 3-1 at home. They then went and battered Sheffield United 5-0 away, and then they lost 3-1 at home again to Chelsea. So what did you guys see in Villa that was their weaknesses? Because personally, Newcastle got right in their face, stifled them, and from playing out from the back, and just made life difficult for them. And they didn't really want to. They didn't look like they wanted to fight that day, and we were ready for a fight.
Without sounding too complimentary to Chelsea, it's the first time I can ever say this season. It didn't strike me as Villa having loads of weaknesses in that match. I didn't recognise the team I was watching in my own club, Chelsea, because I was just
Chelsea
like,
were just decent that
we
day,
were really, really good.
Yeah.
So it didn't even look like, they were that off the mark. It was just Chelsea were really good that day. But then when you put it into context and you go, well, it's been that way against Newcastle. Then a few days later or a week or so later, it's that way against Chelsea. Maybe they are now starting to slip ever so slightly.
What I would say, because I agree with you, I think we were excellent that day. What I would say is their defensive positioning and their injuries is quite severe. They've got Diego Carlos and they've got Longley at the back, and that's missing sort of 3 of their better central defenders.
Tyrone Mings, Konsa, and then Pau Torres as well. Which is they're down to 4th and 5th choice at centre back. So it's
you can understand why they've been a bit more porous recently, bearing in mind those injuries, absolutely. But I have to say, come on, we really did play well. That was probably, it's a bit mad to say, that probably was our best performance of the entire season, I think.
The best performance of the entire 2 seasons.
It's the first time the midfield's clicked, isn't it? It's the first time Caicedo and Fernandes. I've got to be honest.
I've been waiting for this, Jacob. Wait, what date is it? How long have it?
No, but
wait a second. Wait, Enzo and Caicedo are actually good.
Oh, right. Okay, let's have it. No, look. We had that clip that we stuck out, right? Where me and KG were taking the mick a bit. Brian, you'll back me up here. None of us have ever said these are bad players. We've just
what?
No.
That's not. That is the opposite of what you said.
We've said a lot of them are bad players. What we're saying is it's not working.
They play well for other teams. They've come to Chelsea and they haven't been playing anywhere near the level that I've seen them at Brighton or obviously in the World Cup or whatever.
They're the two. For me, they're the two where.
I sat here and I said that Enzo and Caicedo were the ones going forward that were our DMs. That was the future of Chelsea Football Club and our midfield, and you laughed. So I just want to get this moment on camera. Jacob has actually said that the midfield 2 are actually good, and I'm glad he's admitted it because it's taken long enough.
For one game, they played well.
They're good FA Cup players.
It turns out they're just FA Cup players.
The Enzo free kick, by the way, it might have been one of the best free I've ever seen.
Oh, beautiful!
It was ridiculous, bro.
And I had absolutely no confidence he was even going to hit the top.
It was far, innit? It was
almost to the point where I sort of wasn't watching it. It's just like, has he just actually scored that?
It turns out he's better from further out. It's like 12 yards out. He's fucking useless.
And against the goalkeeper that probably a good few times a season he takes free kicks at in training.
Yeah. I mean, he got a hand to that. Fair enough for getting a hand to it. It was literally in the corner.
It's funny, 4 goals went in that match and the keeper couldn't have done nothing about any of them. Every goal was perfect, really.
Yeah, it was.
Would you guys who would you make the favourite today?
Well, Man United on the form. On the form, you go Man United. But then I'd always lean towards going, Villa Park's a bit of a fortress. Yeah, 2 weeks ago I was saying that. But now Newcastle have gone there and beat them. Chelsea have gone there and beat them.
And by the way, Newcastle and Chelsea, let's be real, we're not good this season.
Not good this season, no.
Like, I know
United are not that great this season either.
I know Chelsea played well that day. And,
no, we're not.
But generally, I would not have expected that before that game. I think Man United are looking more dangerous in an attacking third by a mile. Like at the back, Harry Maguire got done by West Ham, didn't get punished. So there's still options that are getting behind them. But I mean, right now this has got to be close to their first choice team with Casemiro, Meno, Rashford, Bruno Fernandes, Garnacho, Hojlund. And I feel like the confidence is growing a lot in those young lads.
When you just name those that team, they got some good players.
Damn right they have.
Yeah, they got some good players at United.
They should do though with all that money.
The money,
spent.
yeah.
Come on.
But then this season, if you were to say because I think what we can say today is you've got two defences that are going to give up chances. Do you know what I mean? We watched United against West Ham last week. I think West Ham had 22 shots, something like that. We know that Villa's, they're down to the 4th, 5th choice centre backs. They're going to give away chances, and the way they play football as well, they do let you come onto them a bit.
Watkins should definitely score.
That's what I'm saying, man. If I was to say to you, 50 quid bet on either Watkins to score first or Hojlund or Rashford, who would you say? You'd say Watkins. You'd say Watkins.
I don't know because
Mate, the way things
I
are, I'll go
at the
Hojlund.
moment,
I would,
Hojlund's looking
but
decent,
it would
isn't
be
he?
close though. But like it's because of the injuries at the back for Villa. That's what I'm. I personally favour Man United today, but obviously I hope I'm wrong because we can actually catch Man United. We can't catch Villa, in my opinion.
I normally tend to back against form, as stupid as it sounds. So when I see a team that are very decent, like Aston Villa, and they haven't had the rub of the green recently, and they have dipped below the standards they've set all season, I often look at it and go, right, they'll respond today. They'll do something.
Can they lose 3 in a row at home? You'd think not.
You know Emery's going to be going for them, though. You know Emery's going to be had them in training, and he's going to be doing a very sort of clear tactical setup. Because they were so porous against Chelsea. They just can't set up in that way.
Mate, they were an absolute mess against Newcastle, which is
I just don't
weird
think it will happen again.
Because they've been so well drilled all season, and Ten Hag for me is a joke of a manager tactically, but he's got a great firepower, so I definitely give him a chance in this. But the last 2 matches have thrown me completely about this Aston Villa side. I mean, they really, if they want to keep going and really cement themselves with a chance for Champions League, they have to win today. It can't be a draw. It's got to be a win.
I feel like Man United are one of the hardest teams in the Premier League to predict. Do you guys not feel that? Like literally, they could turn up one day, be absolutely brilliant, and then another day they'll just put on an average performance, and yet probably still win. It's like it's so difficult to predict them because even when they're playing well, they can lose, and when they're not playing well, they can easily win.
Well, when you look at the ball strikers they've got, Rashford, when he's on, he's one of the best ball strikers. Bruno Fernandes, absolutely class when he's on. Garnacho scored one of the best goals this season, if not one of the best Premier League goals ever.
Yeah, fact.
And Hojlund, 4 goals in his last, 4 games, 2 assists, something like that.
Good goals as well.
And all good strike.
Not tap-ins.
Yeah. So, I think it doesn't matter that Ten Hag's as bad as he is tactically when they've got that level of talent. And actually, this is what's funny is because so many Man United fans are defending Ten Hag and have continued to, and that's their prerogative. But I look at this team and go, so much talent. If you had a good coach, fucking
But you don't rate Ten Hag at all.
No, from everything I've seen, no. Yeah.
You not watched much of Brian this season, have you? He does not rate Ten Hag.
The way he's just coming from, I was like, right, you don't rate him. No, you don't think he's good at all, though.
If anything, like in my lifetime, Newcastle have never found it this easy to get points off of Manchester United. We beat them 3 times in a row for the first time in my life. And even one of those times we had a second string team out. And I remember being like, fuck me, Livramento and Lewis Hall have just scored. What, like, Almiron's looking like fucking prime Maradona against us. And to be fair, Man United have had injuries, and I think that they are coming better now that they've got like their full attacking talent. But I think that's the only reason. I think they could, like, Ten Hag's not shown me shit since he came.
Tactically, you're questioning though. Do you not think that team sheet today is basically the exact same way that you would set up that Man United team, bearing in mind like the players that are available?
But the point is on the elite.
Yeah, he's saying the players pick themselves almost.
Yeah. I mean, it's a no-brainer. But what I mean is like, every single time Newcastle have played Man United, even when we lost the cup final, we were a better side. Like, I've never been impressed with the way Ten Hag set them up. If anything, I've felt more confident than ever. Even under Ollie, there was times I'd be like, oh, fucking hell, you can pull something off this
If
time.
they win today, I'm pretty confident that they get Champions League over Villa.
Champions League?
Over Villa
and Spurs? Would you?
Well, I think 5th place gets you Champions League this year.
Well, it depends.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, here's the issue is... they've still got 8 points, so it would be down to 5, which is definitely catchable, yeah.
It's doable.
And the one thing that Jacob said at the start of the season, or earlier in the season rather, with Emery is he starts strong and it will tail off. And you made that prediction, and look, those two defeats make me wonder if you're right. Like, because if they lose today or even a draw today, I'm like, it looks like it could slip away that top 5.
Does anyone know how close they are to getting their defenders back? Because I have a feeling that their centre backs are out for quite a long time. I know Tyrone Mings is a really significant injury.
Mings is most of the season,
and I think Pau Torres was quite like a few weeks at least. So I mean, like again, if you don't have your starting centre backs, like you're gonna concede a few more goals, and then it's gonna be a lot more difficult. That's why I do believe this. If Man United do pull it out today, and I have no idea what's going to happen. By the way, I find this game probably the most difficult game in the entire season to predict. If Man United do it, I do think that 5-point gap is completely catchable.
The other
Quick
thing,
question.
go on, mate.
Quick question. What do you think of Garnacho? I was having this debate with my boy. He don't really. I think he's like a supreme talent. My boy was just like, nah, he's calm. I was like, what?
Yeah, I'm somewhere in the middle of that. I think in certain games he can look unreal. I don't think it's a trait that you would associate with a lot of young players. I don't think he has anywhere near the amount of consistency, if I was a Man United fan, for me to think, right, he's our match winner. On any given day, he can be, but I don't think each time they walk down the tunnel, I think this guy is going to deliver for us today.
He's 19.
I've heard Man United fans describing it like this: like his potential is probably one of the best potential out of all of their young players.
Yeah, that's what
they're favouring at the moment. But his floor, the bottom of what his potential could be, is probably lower than those guys. Like they think that Mino is sort of guaranteed to be an out-and-out Premier League player.
Just for the stats,
and Hojlund as well.
21 games, 5 goals, 2 assists from Garnacho.
From a 19-year-old, is that how old he is? 19.
Not bad.
That's not bad.
Yeah, but also I just like I feel like he's got a mentality like he wants to win games. And I think if you can get that right, the consistency right, like you're saying,
he has the arrogance.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's got that thing about him, that swag about him that makes me go, yeah, this guy, if he kicks into gear, he could probably, those numbers could go up easily.
He's the thing I'll give him credit for is he's done things for Ten Hag that Ten Hag should kiss that kid's feet. Because there's been games where I've been watching where I've been like the Everton game earlier this season when he did score that wonder goal. Everton were the better side.
Mate, it was 3-0 United. There was one of the best goals we've ever seen, and Everton were much better than United.
Exactly like last week.
Against West Ham?
Against West Ham. West Ham were the better side, just like the Everton game. And the countless other times I've watched Man United under Ten Hag where I'm thinking, you're the worst side, but that individual brilliance. And for a 19-year-old to be pulling that out, I think, again, with good coaching, with someone who can actually improve him, I think he'd be out of this world.
Would you not say they are improving, though? Like, would you not say that Garnacho has improved this season?
Literally, we've just watched them get outplayed by West Ham, a team who looked absolute dog shit today against a proper side in Arsenal who didn't get out their own half. And yet West Ham had 20-odd shots to, I think it was 22-12. You're getting lucky in games like that. It's individual moments of brilliance. You're not dominating the ball. You're not dominating other sides. So as a manager, I'm judging you on what is the repeatable processes that I can see that I can go, you will continue to do this. And it'll, like Arteta did at the start, where I'm like, okay, I'm seeing the patterns to it. I'm not seeing any pattern with Ten Hag. I'm seeing you're getting dominated and you're getting out of jail.
But if we're talking about individual players and young players, do you not think that Ten Hag has improved each of those young players? Like, I look at Mainu now and I think Ten Hag's made him better.
Okay, so here's the thing. What was Mainu like before Ten Hag if he's made him better?
He wasn't playing, yeah.
Exactly. So the point is there's no evidence from your argument to say that he would have been any different with any other manager. So I can't dispute it, but I also can't prove it. If he was in... Like, I think Maino is a talent who would have just done well under anyone, is my thing. And people may think it's like, oh, you've got this thing against Ten Hag. I want Man United to keep Ten Hag. To keep him as long as possible. Keep getting lucky and because it's just like Ollie. It's exactly like Ollie for me. There's no repeatable long-term process here. But today, I mean, if he wins, then like you've said...
if they win today, I'm going to have to start changing my mind a little bit on the direction that they're going in this season. Because there was a point, and this was not at all because I thought that Chelsea were a good team this season, but there was a point when I was very, very confident we were finishing above them. Even when they turned us over at Old Trafford, I was still pretty confident.
Did me and you have a debate about that, Josh?
Yeah, we did. We did. Do you know what? I've forgotten what was said.
Well, I don't put up the receipts. No, but I thought that we'd finish above them. Even after they beat us, I still thought we'd finish above them because we were playing a little bit of better football at the time. Now, when I'm looking at the results recently, I'm thinking, okay, you do keep, like, in your words, it is getting lucky a little bit. And when individual talent's pulling you out, and it's only ever that. That's
what I said to
there's
you.
not a pattern of play. Sometimes, right, big teams, every team has individual talent, big teams, but normally they rely on that when the pattern of play is not working. With Man United, it's that simple. There is no pattern of play. We rely on individual talent.
I would
But
say
when it
other
happens-
teams right up at the Premier League have more individual talent than Man United. Would you disagree with that?
What, above them in the-
above them.
Like as in like Spurs, I would say on paper have more individual
I
talent.
would strongly
No.
disagree.
I don't think Arsenal do,
Strongly
you know?
disagree. Do you know
I don't
how?
think Arsenal do.
The reason being, the reason I said to you that Chelsea would not finish above Man United is Man United have more match winners, just out and out match winners.
Yeah.
And the reason I would put them ahead of most teams in the Premier League for that is they've spent billions.
So you
this is the
think-
thing that we always ignore
so
is
you-
money directly contributes to the level of talent you can get.
So do you think
If we-
Arsenal have more talented players than United?
If we're doing a combined 11, I think there are more Spurs players that get into the combined 11 with Man United.
But
I
let's,
think
let's
there
keep
are
it on
more
what we're
Arsenal
talking about.
players that get in the
We're
combined
talking
11
about
than
match
United.
winners. That's the whole basis of my argument is if I'm looking at I'll take Rashford out of it because he wasn't bought, but even then, Rashford, if we're talking about the level of talent they brought in, like they've bought so many match winners. People forget Bruno Fernandes was like £80 million.
Yeah.
Like that's not a fucking drop in the ocean.
This thing I'm looking at is
The away record against the top 9
I'm
from
telling
Ten
you,
Hag.
Villa today. I'm telling you.
We've just seen the away
I
record.
can't
by
lie.
the
What I
way.
just looked at, that was crazy. I agree with you now, bro. I agree. 10 Hag is shit, bro.
But think about
take
this.
long to turn
I
it.
thought bare L's
Think
on
about
that,
the
bro. That was
logic, lads.
crazy.
Think about the logic of what I'm saying when I'm talking about individual brilliance. We've just seen their away record against the top 9, right? The reason why they're not stringing results together away from home against is because they haven't got the clear gap between talent as they have against the bottom half table sides. So when Ten Hag hasn't got that
know
as
what
a
you mean,
fail-safe to bail him out, he gets exposed.
Well, can
I
I
feel like that
throw one more on that?
Go on.
The sort of game-winning talent you're talking about, the match-winning talent, the attacking players we're talking about who do dig them out when their style of football doesn't work, those guys don't travel. You think Bruno Fernandes is going to cold stadiums up north and pulling something out of his bum? He's not asked.
Well, the one time I did see him do it this season was against Burnley, mate. You know, like in those games, yeah, fair enough. But
Against top teams, though, against good
Exactly.
teams, their players don't turn up in away games because they're not motivated by that manager.
I think Arsenal need more of that, though.
What's that?
Like those match winners that.
I think that's the next thing Arsenal
Yeah,
need to
because
buy.
like the opposite to what you're saying, I feel like Arsenal go play. They against the Liverpool game when they lost in the cup, they were so good. But if they had a guy that was, a match
why is
winner,
that though? They haven't
'cause of
spent the money.
Yeah, because of the man. Yeah.
Man United have spent way more
But the
money.
manager, the guys were saying they don't like Arteta. I'm like, Arteta's built a team that's created so many chances in this game, but they don't have the money where they can go and get a £90 million striker.
No, it's true.
that can go and win you a game. When you need a
those
goal.
3 points last week against Liverpool, they were Arteta's 3 points. That was not Saka going mad and winning a game for us. That was not Declan Rice. Like all of those players were brilliant, but that was Arteta's tactics that won a game.
Exactly what I'm saying.
You've never said that about Ten Hag in
Ever?
a game. Ever.
No fucking way.
But what you do say with them is exactly what Brian's saying, is that players on huge contracts who cost a lot of money score goals
This
when they
is
need
the
them
thing
to,
about last
but
season.
not
when
against good teams.
When people are talking about the drop-off, they're like, oh, how's this drop-off happened? It's like, I'll tell you exactly how it happened. Bruno Fernandes and Marcus Rashford have not been on form this season. They carried Ten Hag last season, and they haven't done it this season. And now they're starting to click a little bit, and then some of the other lads, these younger lads, are coming in. And like, fair play, Hojlund was a good buy, so like I can give credit for that. You've gone out and gone out, but I'm still not saying anything that tells me you're the guy to bring Manchester United back to the big table.
The way
You say he's a good buy. Let's give it a little bit more
Yeah.
time. He scored a few goals recently, and I look at him and I do think, yeah, you're good. And I think that when he went on that run of 10 Premier League games without a goal, I was sort of looking at it and thinking, okay, maybe that looks a little bit worse than it is.
Yeah,
but at the
because-
moment,
yeah.
for 60 odd million,
Yeah,
is he a good buy?
Is that Hojlund?
he's alright.
Yeah.
He was more than 60.
He's feeding off scraps though.
Yeah.
The one
He's
thing,
feeding off
so this is back to the
scraps,
system.
bro.
You've nailed it, right? He's like the only. I think I can't remember the exact stat.
But he hasn't got any assists.
But
like
it
his
was
goals,
something
that-
about the lack of passes that he has had from his
Yeah.
wingers, the lack of service, and a lack of service is always down to the manager
Tactics.
because you're the one who's setting them up to do. So at some point there was one game, I think it was the Newport game. He was the one who had the least shots in the game for Manchester United. Was Hojlund?
He could
That's
do
terrible
with
tactics,
a
that.
winger who's got a bit of experience there, feeding like a
Feeding
big,
him, yeah.
strong, physical number 9 type thing.
Well, the one-
It's a shame you haven't got anyone like that.
The one thing I'll say, coming back to what we were saying about Garnacho earlier, the kindest thing that Garnacho has done to Ten Hag, we're not sat here talking about 80 million quid on Antony. Because Garnacho's been good in the last 4 games. 4 games ago, we were talking about the fact they've got an £80 million winger.
The talent identification for Ten Hag is his worst attribute by an absolute mile.
Yeah.
The transfers that he's done is appalling, and that's why they're getting the director.
Is that Ten Hag? Is that someone else at the club?
Mate, it's
That's
definitely
Ten
Ten Hag. They're all Ajax players.
They're all Dutch or Ajax.
Because for me, the worst signing of all time is Antony.
Yeah, 100%.
No, I'm saying that.
Is he worse than
Like in the
Onana?
Premier League,
He's the worst. No, he's the worst, bro.
Man United.
He's worse than Onana?
He's the
Yeah.
worst, bro.
Yeah.
That he's
world
the
football.
definition of he's the definition
he's
of
worse than
don't
Onana.
don't be swindled by theatrics. Like that 40 million added to him was that Spinaroonie.
pirouette.
That's it. That's
Yeah.
40 million. You
I
know.
would love Ten Hag to use that argument. If someone said Anthony's the worst sign, never he'd go, is he worse than Onana? That's another one of yours.
Yeah, it's mad. Like he's literally like, because did you see the thing what Yap Stam was saying? Like, he watched him loads. He's like they valued him at 20 million.
Mate, I saw
So
Ajax fans.
you bought him. Where's the extra 60 million come from?
Ajax fans on Twitter were over the moon with that price. The one thing I will say, I know we've said this a lot about the players that he's bought, and to be fair, we have heard that Ineos have gone in there and gone, right, give that credit card back. You're not buying anyone next window, right?
That's a real vote of confidence for the long term.
Give
innit?
us that wallet back. Someone else is. But what I say, I've been talking to United fans this week. What a lot of United fans said to me is that what they do think he does is he improves players. They do think Ten Hag has improved a lot of their players. I'll give you a list of names that my mate gave me. Dallo has improved under.
Mate,
Ten
I'm
Hag.
not doing this. Fucking Dallo. That's when you. That's when.
No, but go on.
That's,
do the list.
I'll listen to the rest of it, but I'm saying Dallo, we're not putting him in. Because like it's like, has he slightly improved?
I think he's their best player.
Can we do a flop or cop? Can we do a flop or cop?
We've done that, I think. But yeah.
Okay, we'll say, have they improved or have they not improved?
Okay,
Let's
yeah,
do
go
that.
on.
Okay, so Dallo, you're not having him?
Yeah, he's all right.
Has he improved?
Has he improved?
Has
Nah.
improved?
Yeah.
So what if
Yeah.
he's
A
improved?
little bit.
My thing is so
Well, it
what
couldn't
if
have got
he's improved?
worse.
It's not that deep. That Dallo's improved.
Yeah.
Luke
Dallo
Shaw.
ain't winning you a
Oh,
league.
fuck.
Luke
No,
Shaw.
Luke
Shaw was fucking
been
hell.
injured
Luke Shaw
half the
played some of his best football ever before Ten Hag even met the guy.
McTominay.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not even starting.
McTominay.
But he's
scored a few goals.
Right.
Yeah.
Did McTominay have good games under Ollie as well? Yes. Exactly. Did he have shockers under Ollie? Yes. Did he have shockers under Ten Hag? Yes. So like, yeah,
I know what you're saying. The players you're mentioning aren't doing.
they're
Come on,
inconsistent
good.
players
They're
who are
not
still
good.
inconsistent. Okay.
Wan-Bissaka is another one he's given me. Apparently, he's got better.
Bro. Leave this.
Wan-Bissaka's always-
Your mate.
Yeah, leave this.
Your mate's off his nuts.
Ginger John Purdy on Twitter
Yeah,
if you
yeah.
want to talk to him.
I thought this was going to be KG. You mentioned. Fucking hell.
Nah, look.
And Mainoo's the obvious one. Mainoo's the one. Look,
But you can't say he's improved him when no one else had him before. He's a fucking kid.
Well, he was sat in an academy before.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
So he's
The
put
fact
him on
that
a
he's
pitch.
the
He's
fact
put
that
him
he's
on
put him
a
on a
pitch.
pitch. You got to
You gotta
give him Maino. You got to give him Maino.
You got to give him credit for
I
putting him
don't
on a
know,
pitch.
man.
I think Garnacho.
I don't know if I'm being harsh, but like right
Nah.
now, why did he put him on the pitch? Because injuries forced him to. Surely, I mean, they had so many
Well,
injuries.
So you're
McTominay
saying-
was on a
you're saying-
bench. McTominay was on a bench.
Yeah.
He's played him ahead of McTominay.
Yeah,
To be fair,
Stevie fucking Wonder could have seen that should have been a fucking decision made, right? So like, look, when I really see him developing players, I'll give him credit. But like, you develop Antony. Let's see Antony come on.
Yeah,
right?
no,
You know
the
what I mean?
Antony thing is unforgivable. It's actually unforgivable.
We're underway, by the way. I know Man United fans are hating me. I'm sorry. I apologise.
I'm doing my best. United fans, I'm doing my
sorry.
best, mate.
I can confirm they're hating it.
Look, I don't hate you guys personally. I just don't rate your manager. I'm sorry. But yeah, they did take multiple Premier League titles off of us when we were, kids. So
Do you think they'd be higher in a league this season if they still had Ollie there? I think they would, because they wouldn't have made half them signings.
Well,
they would have spent the money a bit better. Yeah, I mean, Ollie's talent ID, by the way,
Some of his signings are
supreme.
pretty
But
good.
When Ollie was trying to get Erling Hojlund through the door, and they were like, "Nah, I'm not really sure he's worth it." Now he's sat there, like speaking on documentaries about how they should have signed him. But like, fuck me. We'll see. I mean, speaking of Chelsea, though, you guys were talking about how you were Poch out last week. This week, still Poch out? Because he won the game.
You could change your mind, can't you?
Look, you can't change your mind.
Listen, I think Chelsea fans and the Chelsea fan base in general come under a lot of criticism this season for being quite flip-floppy in our opinions and in our stances on things. But how can we be consistent when the team are the most inconsistent team in the league.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't hold us accountable for one day saying, I don't know, it looks like we're turning the corner, and then the next us being down in the dumps, because that's the way our team is this season. I was never firmly Poch out, but Poch is really not doing a good job here. And when we talk about developing young players and stuff like that, I wasn't really seeing it. Off the back of that last performance, I can breathe a little bit easier and sleep a little bit easier. But is that necessarily an indication of Poch's job, what he's doing there? Or is that just what happens sometimes when it clicks on a certain day, when you've got a certain amount of talent and a certain amount of value starting in the game? So until I can consistently see us string these results together, win 3-4 games on the bounce, which, let's be honest, I'm not expecting us to go and challenge for the Champions League spots now, but with the talent we've got, we should be able to do that. Till I can see that, I'm not really going to get behind him and back him all that much. But at the same time, it's not me saying I want him out, because...
No, you didn't even say you wanted him out, to be fair. You said, I don't really want him in, I don't want him out. I'm just a bit meh.
Deflated with it,
yeah, and I think the problem that Chelsea fans have is at the start of the season, it was very bullish because of the when you see that level of money spent, you expect a certain level of quality, and it's only natural to think, like, I remember just saying, we bought all these great European young kids, how could this be a bad idea? And like, it made sense at the time. It's a championship manager, football manager strategy. But now, are you feeling a bit more positive?
I think for me, when I left that stadium, because obviously I was at the game against Wolves, and I remember the boos at half time, and I heard about the sort of the boos at full time because I was rushing to get here to watch the game with you guys. I very much left that ground, and I was honestly at that point sick of Poch, because I saw the ineptitude that he had on the pitch and how crap we were in that game, and an emotional reaction which I think is fair to sort of have. We were all like, it might be his time, like this might be over. Now I'm Poch now, having thought about it and slept on it and had a bit of time to.
Wait, but were you Poch out, what, 2 weeks ago?
No,
1 week ago.
After the Wolves match.
6 days ago.
That's
I was
crazy, bro. Man said I slept on it. That's mad.
Slept on it 5 times.
No, but we've all been there with women. It's football manager, same thing.
I think you do have moments like that with like players you think are you're sick of. You see them do a poor pass and you're just like, you're done with them. And do you know what the thing with Pochettino that we're struggling with? Joey nailed it. Is that one game we can perform really well and look great and look like there is some promise there, and then we'll have 2 or 3 games where we lose against teams that we should be beating, and then it's crisis stations. And you look, mate. Look, Chelsea should not be 11th in the league. So you can understand why any Chelsea fan would be questioning his managerial sort of nous with the league position that we're in right now. But the thing is, for me, is I just think that there is a long-term system there and a long-term sort of like belief that I have, where I don't think sacking managers long-term is going to be the way that I would run the football club and will be the best thing for our team. And so for us now, we're sort of going, do we just take the pain? Do we take the immediate pain? But I tell you what, if it gets worse than it is now, and we do get a few losses in a row, and we don't win the Carabao Cup final, and we get knocked out of the FA Cup, then this whole conversation is going to be right again. And I have to say, even though I'm Poch right now, there's no guarantee, and I'm not saying this is my belief, but there's no guarantees that the board are going to keep him in the summer after this season. There's no guarantee.
Well, he said himself at the start that he was going to deliver something big. Did he not say we'll be going for
He
Champions
says we'll
League?
be challenging.
He said, I'm trying to think what defeat it was now, but it was one of the defeats not too distant, past ago. He actually said we'll still finish in some form of European football. I think that was after maybe like the Aston Villa game, something like that. Maybe the Brentford
Man
game.
United in behind.
Garnacho's
Oh, and it's an offside.
He actually said in his press conference yesterday, when he was speaking about injuries, he said the problem is everyone, and I'm paraphrasing, but he said everyone will always look at the results and they'll draw the conclusions they will, but they won't do it with the context. And what he's basically saying is I have had a half-empty tool bag this whole season in terms of the players I've had injured. And actually, there is some sort of relevance to that, because when you look at it, right, let's say, for example, we don't know how important each individual player is to Pochettino. So Nkunku is probably, now we're realising, when we've seen what we've seen from him, that's probably the player that in pre-season, when Nkunku was playing, linking up well with Jackson, scoring goals, that's probably the man that Pochettino thought, right, that is my main source of goals. Straight away, you've had him out for the whole season. Wesley Fofana, right? We forget about him because he came into the Chelsea side and he was injured straight away. But actually, he could well be the man that Pochettino is thinking, right, that is my first choice, my number one when it comes to centre-back. Romeo Lavia, he didn't have the money spent on him that Enzo Fernandez and Caicedo had spent on him. But Romeo Lavia, for all we know, and I know we're drawing a lot of intangibles here and trying to make it look good, but he could be the man there that Pochettino's thinking, right, I could have potentially named a spine of the team that he's without at the moment. So when you're looking at it there, you're thinking, okay, well, of course, like, it should be better than 11th, but should it be that much better without those key players missing, if they are?
Was there any moments this season though where you've genuinely, because that's the thing I'm missing from the Poch argument. The Poch in argument is at no point this season have I seen a string of really compelling performances where you're like, aha, this is what happens when he gets it right. Yeah. It's so flip floppy that and it's weird watching his attitude pre the last game, because I thought the fire was getting turned right up on this guy, and yet he was quite cocky and very confident in his press conference.
One thing I will say though, Chelsea played well against the big teams.
Yep.
Yeah, we did.
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
We played shit at St James's Park against Newcastle. We played shit against Liverpool.
Man United as well.
We got smashed. So I'd say half the time we're playing better against big teams. When we're talking tactically, the best thing I've seen tactically from Pochettino this season, I would say, was probably the Arsenal game. Nicholas Jackson got dropped to the bench. The two furthest forward players were Conor Gallagher and Cole Palmer. It worked really well with pressing Arsenal. Obviously, we raced into that 2-goal lead, and obviously game management wasn't good at all because we let the lead slip. But what I would say is that was the one game when I thought, you know what, Poch has outfought Arteta here and he's done quite a good job there. But there's been so many more performances where I just haven't seen it at all from him. And it does beg the question sometimes. We were having this conversation off camera. Would Pochettino have done a better job than some of the less sexy name managers if they were in there from the start of the season?
Because Pochettino is a...
Rashford on the counter. He's got Garnacho overlap and he's going to send him. Oh, and Garnacho should have stuck it straight in the back of the net. Oh.
He's tried to pass it to Hojlund.
Is he wearing a gum shield? Fucking hell.
No, that's his teeth.
No, that's the teeth. That's the teeth.
Has he had his teeth done?
He looked like he had a little retainer in him.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. I personally think that this was a great run from Garnacho. He hasn't got enough space to thread that in between three defenders. He should have had a dig there. Good defending from Villa, but they showed too much. Why were they so fucking narrow there?
They've looked quite open.
I had shades of Dan Burn, fucking hell.
That's how they play. That's how Villa play. They get the line nice and high as soon as they can. They try and press on a bit, and they do.
But they allowed him that room, right?
Yeah, it's
corner ball. Bruno Fernandes going to whip this one in. Fuck me.
Why getting ahead to it?
But he's still lost more than you've won this season. He's still not thinking this is good enough.
No, look, it's all about context, right? I think overall, Chelsea fans, we acknowledge that it's not been good enough this season, and that's why he has been held to the fire, and that's why a lot of Chelsea fans, you should see Twitter. Honestly, if you just went on Twitter, it would be Poch out tomorrow. But there are mitigating circumstances that Joey said. Obviously, the injuries. The other day we played Villa and we won with a squad average age 22. It just shows you he's integrating basically a youth team into the Premier League. And if you take out Thiago Silva, you take out Raheem Sterling, who basically at the moment are sort of underperforming players, we've literally got the youngest squad in the league by a mile. So when you add everything together and you go, right, he's having to settle into the new club, he's had to deal with consistent injuries across the entire season, and he's had a young team, regardless of the money being spent, and a lot of people were saying that, oh yeah, you spent £1 billion. Well, if the boys are not fit, it doesn't matter how much you spend. You can spend £3 billion. If the boys aren't fit to play, it doesn't matter, does it?
Well,
I
think the quality that's been left over is what people are pointing the finger at and going, but the injuries that you've had, while like Nkunku was seen to be a key player, I'm never looking at a Chelsea team at the start of the game going, don't know how they're going to get through this.
We've spent a lot of money.
Yeah.
And I've never once looked at a Chelsea... Obviously, the context of the fact we've been doing badly a lot of the time has changed here, but I've never once looked at a starting 11 and thought, well, that's got no chance.
Exactly my point.
Every time we should.
If anything, I think you've got such great strength and depth that if I wouldn't even... It's taken a long time for him to even get what we would consider a consistent starting 11. But to go on to your point, mate, I'd be interested to know what the table thinks about which managers might have done better.
Well, I said it earlier, didn't I? I said that I think, and people are laughing, I think Sean Dyche would have Chelsea a little bit higher up the league than Pochettino has.
I mean, considering he's had a 10-point deduction at Everton, who are nowhere near the level of quality in terms of the money spent as Chelsea, they'd have 29 points right now, so they'd be 2 points behind you without the point deduction. So you'd think, potentially, Sean Dyche with all of that quality would have done better.
What record has Sean Dyche got of coming into a high pressure job
Yeah,
like
but that's
this
the thing, though.
with
It's
young
like-
players in a transitionary period of the club? Like, honestly, like I get the sentiment.
Do you disagree?
I disagree.
Hojlund?
Oh, wow.
Was that a tackle?
Good block.
Great
yeah.
tackle.
Yeah, my main question was, what the fuck does Sean Dyche say to Mudryk? Like, what does that?
I don't think
look like?
Sean Dyche will play Mudryk.
No, of course you wouldn't.
But I think this is partial.
You'd have Cucurella at left wing if Sean Dyche. I mean, to be fair, you had Ben Chilwell there for a while at the start of the season.
To the point of Joy, though, when he says Sean Dyche, Eddie Howe had no record of getting teams into the Champions League until he had some quality to fucking play with, right?
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, everyone's laughing at Newcastle backing Eddie Howe, and then we're in the top 4 and we're outperforming everyone, right? So the point I'm making with the Sean Dyche thing is, Sean Dyche has never been given that level of quality, and if he had have done, right now, it's quite logical, in my opinion, to say, if you're only 2 points behind this Chelsea side with £1 billion spent, with Everton, who was seen to be relegation fodder at the start of the season, why wouldn't you have?
And also, I'm not saying Sean Dyche is a better manager. I'm not saying he's not. I'm just not saying he's a better manager.
You're
but
just saying, he
I'm
would
just
have
saying
done
there's
better.
key moments in key games where I think maybe a Sean Dyche setup would have been able to hold out. Maybe we wouldn't have conceded the 2 goals after going into a lead against Arsenal. There's certain moments in the game when I just think maybe a more resolute manager who can organise a defence a little bit better. Because one thing we can't underplay is Pochettino has not been able to organise our defence.
David Moyes is outperforming Pochettino right now. David Moyes is under, they want him out. That's mad, isn't it, really?
But I think what Josh said about him integrating a youth team into the Prem is a good point, because do you not feel like what you would get with Sean Dyche, maybe it might get Chelsea a place or 2 above, but that's it. Whereas potentially,
yeah, but if he did,
Poch could
can I just say, by the way,
so right.
we haven't got any older players, really. We haven't got. We've got a couple of players.
But
Yeah,
what
we've
I'm
got-
saying is like someone like Pochettino could. This is like
get the most
the potential what he can bring Chelsea is much higher for me in my head than what Sean Dyche could do.
Cool.
Do you know what I mean?
I would completely agree with that. But the original question was, if there was another manager from the start of the season,
This season,
who
yeah,
would
yeah,
have
no,
us
yeah.
this season
No,
on more
I
points?
agree.
Bro, is there a possibility that that Pochettino is like a Jesse Lingard, though, and he had like a form patch and has never recovered?
What you said there is a good point. He's always been like a potentially good manager.
But the point is
Do you know what I
he had
mean?
that patch
As an
at
Arsenal
Spurs.
fan, let me pipe up.
Yeah, no, but he had that. Footballers are just people, managers are just people, right? And you kind of had hot patches in your career sometimes. And I just think that when I watch Pochettino manage Chelsea and I watch their team, I don't look and hear and see anything to the level that I expected to. And I'm not saying a manager that's getting the best out of these young players, and I'm not even seeing signs of it.
And you use Lingard as an example, yeah? Like, in managerial terms, it happens. Michael Laudrup, I remember when he was brilliant for a couple of
David
seasons.
O'Leary.
Roberto Martinez. Yeah. Like, there's a lot of managers we could list here that did have a 2-3 season run where they were really good.
David O'Leary got Leeds United with a bunch of kids to the Champions League semi-final. People were calling him the next big thing. And it did. He went to Villa. It didn't happen for him. And I'm just saying that there's a very real possibility that Pochettino is a very similar thing where he had an amazing spell. I didn't think this was going to happen. I was completely Poch in for Chelsea. I thought it was a great management appointment. But now, this season, I'm not seeing any reason why Chelsea should keep him next season at all.
I think that if we, for example, were if we were to win the League Cup, then we guarantee ourselves Conference League football. If we get far in the FA Cup, albeit we've looked better in the cup competition. So I do think there's reason for him to be there next season. But the main thing is, when we're saying this, you sort of seem like you're in disagreement to what we're saying here, and I don't think that we've shown anywhere near enough this season for the conversation we're having to be a crazy conversation.
No, it's not. But my point is, when there's time. So you're saying that there's no reason you don't see a reason for Chelsea to keep him. But when, the timing thing, how much time do you give a manager to get it right? Is it 6 months? Is it half a season?
I personally,
is it 2
just
seasons?
to get it on record, I do think he should stay. I've never been popped out.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying
you're not passionate about it.
But at the moment, there's no point lying. I'm not going to go just because I think it's the right thing to say. At the moment, do I have any certainty? Say, for example, right, as an Arsenal fan, I know things got a bit dark for you at times, but a lot of the Arsenal fans that I speak to did always back Arteta and did always feel like something.
No, they did
No, they
not.
didn't. No, I can't.
Fuck off.
A lot.
No, they
a lot of
pissed
the-
off.
Oh!
So sad, surely.
Hojlund
Hojlund
scored.
scored.
I think he's off.
He's
Why not?
confident.
By
By the way, though,
His
by
confidence is up.
the way, it's another scrap goal. It's another feeding off
Mate,
scraps.
Villa have got problems because they are conceding far too many at home this season now. Like the last few
right.
games,
It's on site.
conceded 3 against Newcastle at Villa Park, conceded 3 against Chelsea in the Cup. Now they conceded early here.
Hojlund is here.
Mate, he looks confident as well. He's got that arrogance to him, and like the defense looks shocked.
I have to say though, they've carved them open, haven't they? All game so far, United have been all over them.
No
Oh.
one. Oh, he's on.
it's gonna be
He's on
close.
side. It was a good header by Harry Maguire. Like,
Yeah.
good assist.
Assist from Maguire.
Yeah, fair
Brilliant.
play.
Does really well, Maguire.
Yeah, he's
Which
dominant.
is why Ten Hag's always backed him.
I've kept saying to you guys, Maguire is their best defender.
Mate,
Sorry.
that defence has left Hojlund completely.
I like this little shimmy there. I like
unlocked.
that. I didn't know white boys could move like that.
I don't know what the fuck is going on with Emery now, but like things, the last few games, it's looked bad.
Sack him.
The collapse comes.
Yeah.
Collapse comes.
Just like sack.
We'll have him. Would you have Emery over Poch?
Well, would
Yeah.
you? No, would you? Would you have Emery over Poch?
I just think like
No.
it's just not enough.
Would you
Poch
not?
hasn't had enough time. don't you
You'd
think?
have Emery over Poch, wouldn't you?
I just think
He wants
Poch
a
hasn't had
conference
enough
league,
time.
mate.
No, but wait a second. Earlier on, you were saying that you don't think he's the right guy for Arsenal, but you think he's the right guy for Chelsea, who are arguably playing in the same.
I think where Chelsea are
Ballpark.
now, where Chelsea are right now,
Yeah,
in
yeah.
terms of getting from 11th to back into a kind of
No,
Europa
I know
League.
exactly what you meant about the Emery thing. Yeah, he's not a manager that you go and win the top.
No.
He's that guy that'll
And
get you that.
he's also not right after Wenger. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
when
yeah.
you're coming from a legacy manager like Wenger. I'll just weigh in on the Chelsea thing quickly. The thing I find really interesting, I think about what really worked for Pochettino at Spurs, right? Think about how they actually played football. They had the best front two, you could argue the Premier League, like in terms of numbers, Kane and Son are right up
together,
there
yeah.
with any top two.
Legend.
Right? Dele Alli, usually...
No, Dele Alli when he was playing, when he was like,
Yeah,
he was
he was. But let's think about what
Poch
Dele Alli
made him
actually did. Dele Alli was like a really hard running, hard pressing number 10. He'd play behind Kane. And he'd run ahead of him a lot of the time. He'd
Conor
do a lot.
Gallagher.
Conor Gallagher.
Yeah.
And so and then he'd always have a really good double pivot, whether it was Moussa Dembele. Like he'd have always good players in a 2 in the centre of midfield, and then a good defence, a solid defence. And that's what surprised me so much about Chelsea. Is I looked at it, I was like, oh, this should work. Because
it's got all the ingredients.
you've got hard running 10s. You've got players like Gallagher.
Got the number 9 though. We haven't got.
You haven't got the number
Kane.
9. And Kunku, I think, was going to be that 10. I think he would have been that player to sit behind a striker. I think you got the striker wrong. To be honest with you, I think what you did is you bought a B striker rather than an A striker, and we spoke about that a lot.
Jackson.
in
Jackson.
Yeah.
I don't think Jackson's a striker.
Yeah.
We're
Well-
playing him there, but I mean, I don't
think
that's
we
his-
are.
So where
playing
do
there.
you think his best position is?
He's like a
wing.
Rashford, isn't he?
I
Yeah.
think he's a good left
He's a
winger.
left-
I think do you know what? I actually think Jackson's pretty good.
No,
I honestly
no,
do.
no, no, no,
People
it's
laugh.
just- it's
People
not good
laugh
enough.
at that, and I'm not saying
No.
you guys aren't, but I think that when people watch him, like watch Chelsea game properly when he has been on the wing, I think you'd agree.
Nah, but he just
he's a good
doesn't
little
look.
player.
He just looks clumsy. So
Yeah.
guys
He's like
don't
Almiron. Just like Almiron. He's a threat, but he's not cultured.
Yeah, he just looks clumsy. Like it looks like he's gonna fall over every time he kicks.
This is why I say he's a B striker.
But he is good.
He's not a number 9. Do you know what I mean?
No.
He's not a Kane style
like a
9.
9.5.
So you're saying Poch hasn't got the tools? So.
Well, no. I'm
he's-
kind of saying I
he's saying
think he
that he
has.
does,
I'm
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
saying I think he has. I'm like, okay, what does he like? He likes a good double pivot in the centre of midfield. Enzo and Caicedo, World Cup winner and most expensive midfielder in the summer.
Do you know what's funny,
Back.
Jacob? Is he kind of is setting up like the way that Poch is playing, especially against Villa. It was really interesting. He basically said, "Fuck all the noise. I don't care if you want to play 5 at the back. I don't care if you want me to play in this way. I'm going to set up in the way that I want my team to play, which is this sort of out of position, sort of basically a 4-4-2,
Yep.
in possession like a 4-2-3-1, pretty much." And it was
Same
fluid.
as Spurs, right?
And
Same
that
as
was
Spurs,
exactly
yeah.
the same. So do you know what? He actually has completely stuck to his morals.
I
his
think he
belief.
has.
And I think your point is fair. And what I would go back to that is I don't think he's got the players yet.
Still needs a couple
To,
more.
and I think he needs a couple.
I think that's fair, by the way. I think that's completely
My
fair.
take on Poch is that he needs a bit more time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
A bit more.
I think I think the main thing you need. I was thinking about what Chelsea need to do. First of all, you need some defenders. And I think you're right in saying, by the way, Joey, that Fofana might have been the main man there.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at, what's his name? Disaster? What is it? Whatever it is.
Who actually played really
I know,
good
no,
last
he was
match.
good. He was
there
really
was a centre
good.
back pairing of Disasi and Badia Shield, and them boys were pretty classy in the last match.
They've been hot and cold all season, and I think Fofana, when he's fit, goes straight
cold.
into the he goes
I
straight.
do
They're a
think
cold
we'll
mezzo.
probably sign another centre back.
But the only thing I'd say to you, I watched Levi Colwell last season for Brighton. I was like, Jesus Christ, this guy's going to play for England.
Levi Cole is the one that stays in. He's the other defender that stays in on the left hand side. We probably sign another right
centre back.
Yeah.
But you don't feel Cole's best position is centre back, not left back.
His
100%
mate,
centre back.
100%.
Oh, he's centre back.
If I say
100%.
again, it might be hard. People that aren't specifically watching the Chelsea games with a fine tooth and comb. But if I said to you now, name me a time Levi Colwell has had a bad performance when he's played at centre back, you won't be able to name one.
Yeah.
Every time he's played centre back, he's played really well. When he's been ripped for pace by the likes of Elise against Crystal Palace, it's when he's playing at left back. Not left back.
That's been strange for me watching Pochettino do that to him, because I think he's so talented, Colwell. Like, honestly, he would be for like first name on a team sheet at centre back for me. He's so good, so I don't understand why he's moving around so much.
Mate,
Well, the injuries. Puka and
yeah.
Chilwell have been injured
So he
the
has
whole
to play
time.
him somewhere.
I hear a lot of this though, but like the level of talent, and this is like, even Josh who's super positive about Poch, the level of talent that Poch was given at the start of the season. If we decided, without the injuries in context, I understand you can't do that. At the start of the season, 11th, more losses than wins. Are you still backing them? I don't think any Chelsea fan out there would have said that was acceptable.
No.
And that's the thing that, like, all right, he won, beat Villa, looked good, but there needs to be far more of those performances towards the end of the season for me to say he should stay in a job next season.
There's been a couple of moments, like
That's what I'm saying.
when we sat here
Few and far between.
and we watched the Spurs game. There was context to it. They got players sent off and whatnot. But the Arsenal and the City game, especially, I remember thinking, mate, I've just seen us have a shootout with the best teams in the league, and we've held our own here.
McGinn. Goal! What a
the
save from
shot!
Onana. I can't believe what I'm saying.
I know. That's the first time you
It's the
said
first
that.
time I've ever said that on this show ever.
He didn't have to cover that much ground.
Should
there
say, by the way,
either.
quickly,
It's sort of a little bit at him.
We should say that like we've watched a quarter of this game now. United have been really good.
They have.
Like,
I don't know because
nearly.
Villa have just whipped the ball in. Right, what we would say is in the last 5 minutes, Villa have been turning the pressure up a bit. They've had like 4 goals at goal.
Yeah.
So they have been having.
I think what United have done that's smart is they've looked at the fact that they've got the 4th and 5th choice centre back at Villa and they've gone right press. And from the very first whistle, they've pressed on.
That's
they've
exactly
pressed
what
well.
Newcastle did.
Yeah.
They couldn't live with it.
But I think now we're seeing what Villa should be doing, which is going fuck it, just go over the top of it and try and take shots at Onana.
It was,
to
to be fair, it was quite close to Onana. Like it wasn't a good. It was a fast shot, but it wasn't a hard shot.
Camera save, innit?
Yeah,
Camera
it
save.
looked great in the moment. But now Villa are coming.
He took-
Oh, there's a
what
good save by
have you
Onana
done?
again.
Is that a pen though? Because he was brought down from behind.
He was pushed ever so slightly, but I don't know how bad. I don't know if it was bad enough to give a penalty. The game's gone getting better, like.
Can we just say we got a super chat from Jaws, 25 quid. Thank you very much, Jaws.
Bloody hell.
Shout
Cheers,
out, bro.
mate.
Thank you very much.
Can you send in my individual bank details as well? If he's that.
Come on.
Yes,
Let's
it's
see what he
generous,
says first.
That was it. He just gave us 25 quid.
Onana's still on the
Thank
floor.
you very much.
Onana's still on the floor.
It's all for your
I don't know if
quality
he's
chat, Jacob.
he's struggling here. This was really
It's a
good football.
ball. Yeah,
The
but
game
he's
with
got to
us.
get onto that a bit quicker.
Oh,
Actually, don't think it was a foul at all in the box there.
Is there a hand on him?
Watkins,
Yeah,
man.
pushed it. hand was up.
I don't know
Hand
if
was up.
Was it enough though?
I don't know. I think fair play to Watkins for just taking the shot, to be honest.
I think Watkins needs to come across that a little bit sooner.
Yeah, no, I
and
agree.
take it.
He's kind of waited.
Onana's sitting. He's not looking great. Like
What's wrong with him here?
he's talking. I had no idea. He's not making it clear at all.
He looks all right.
Give us a
The
clue.
physio's literally smiling at him. I think.
Give us that, mate.
Point at what it is.
Area of
You
the
know what
body.
I mean?
Area of the body. Where's hurting?
I feel like he's mum or something.
That's what I do with my toddler.
We'll move on to this bullshit about blue cards because obviously I know you've all heard the sin bin idea and that. They just keep messing on with the game. What do you feel about the table?
I just think VAR's been such a success. Why not? Why not make more changes?
That went so well.
Yeah.
No, I'm not really that mad at the blue card because I do feel that there are some infringements that are not quite a yellow, but it's too harsh for a red. Like, one that sticks to my mind is the Euro final when Chiellini pulled down Saka on the halfway line.
Yeah.
That to me, it's like you can't give him a red for that, but a yellow was just too like.
Yeah, I know
do you know
what
what I
you
mean?
mean.
Do you know the
So a sin bin there would have been good for us in that game.
Yeah.
Do you know how they
It's
didn't enforce it, Josh?
As in, what is the blue card going to be for?
Yeah, and at what point would it be enforced and how long for?
The blue card is going to be a sin bin for 10 minutes, and it's going to be for sort of back chat to the referee, first of all, and then also, like you say, the really cynical fouls.
cynical stuff,
Like,
yeah.
like, you know, when you do a sort of professional foul, when someone brings someone down on the halfway line, you're about to go through, score a goal, it's obvious, it's not quite a red, but it's sort of pretty bad.
Yeah.
That's where they're bringing it in, and effectively it will bring the sin bin into football, which is something that has been discussed for a long time. I mean, we've heard about sin bins for 10 plus years.
So, but why do you think it's shit though?
I just don't want to slow the game down. Like we've already slowed it down so much because of VAR. Villa are in. Another chance. Oh, they've got to make them pay here. This is just like West Ham, where Man United are wide open, they're getting cut open, and they're getting away with it.
I'll tell you another thing, right? I don't know why this has really annoyed me, but blue. Why is it?
I would have
it's
called
orange.
it orange. Yeah,
It's an orange card.
It's
Like, I've been
orange,
saying it for years. Like, it's not quite a red. It's not quite a yellow. It's not sort of an orange. Blue card. Like, it doesn't make sense. What do they do when they go off? Because we see it in rugby, didn't they? They go on the little.
Sin bin, they go on the little bench, they sit there, they have to watch the game.
No, but you got to keep.
Oh, they
if
sit
you're
on the
going to come
bike.
back, you got to get on
They
the
sit
bike,
on the
didn't you?
bike.
Yeah,
they do.
Yeah.
I think that the refereeing standards this year are the worst in my memory.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm genuinely shocked by how bad it is. Like Newcastle Forest yesterday, it was. And it's sad because I'm almost so like used to it now that like I used to get really annoyed, and now I'm like, like
Referees are just shit.
it's
on any
so
level.
bad.
On every level, Sunday League to the Premier League. All
But
refs
even with VAR, which was intended to speed the game, help the game be more correct and factual, the amount of VAR decisions that we have watched get wrong. Countless times. It's like all we've done is substituted an immediate human error potentially for slower human errors.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, the whole point of the game, making it more entertaining, is to keep it free flowing, keep it fast. We never want referees who are constantly blowing up and stopping the game, unless you need to take control of a game. And the amount of referees who can't even do that.
Yeah,
So to give them more options, more cards, I'm like, I want them less involved, not more involved.
The games are so over refereed at the moment, and every game that I really enjoy, I come away and I go, oh, I didn't notice the referee in that game. It's always the games where I go, oh, I didn't. Really think
when a
Do
ref lets it flow.
But so how many times this season have you watched a game and you've looked at a referee and gone, he needs another thing to think about. He needs another card in his pocket. He needs another rule that he has to enforce. Never. They've already got too many. There's already too much stuff going on. The rules change so frequently. The refs don't know what's going on. And like you say, Brian, it used to be that there was one guy on the pitch that could make a mistake. We've now got one guy on the pitch, 3 guys around the pitch, 4 guys in a fucking van somewhere that can make a mistake. And we've all heard the audio.
And they still don't know what a handball is.
They don't know what they're doing.
You know what I mean?
So why are we giving them more stuff to do?
Do you not think, though, the actual card, the blue card itself, if you look at the infractions and the reasons why it could be given, do you not think that isn't slowing the game down at all? That's like, I know it's another rule change, it's another thing that's different about the game.
I don't like the dissent thing though.
Yeah.
I just think, bro, like referees, if someone's chatting shit to you, just carry on, bro. It's not that deep. It's like, it's a game of emotions. It's not that deep. But like, so like someone like Nunez will get it all the time.
This is it. Well,
Do you know what I mean?
I think you've hit the nail
He will
on the head.
get, he will
It's
get
a
it all the
game
time.
of emotions. That's why we enjoy it.
Whereas like the cynicalness, I get, like, I think that's a fair one to keep it in.
At the end of the day, if your player is running through on goal and it's on the halfway line, he gets blocked, stops having a goal scoring opportunity. That is a really big thing for your club. And you know what? If that happens to you, if that happens to Callum Wilson now, and he goes in, runs in at the defence and gets chopped, and he stops a goal scoring opportunity, you would be fuming. And actually, you'd kind of agree with it, wouldn't you?
No, because I just feel like so especially that Euro one's the one that sticks in my head. I just think extra time. Cellini's gone off for 10 minutes. He's their best defender, and that can actually change the outcome of the game in your favour. So what he did there, he just knew he would get away with something.
I don't think it
mad.
would though. I think if you actually think practically about what would happen, like say for example. Like the amount of games I watch where it's basically good team against bad team, attacking team with the ball against the low block. And I think what will happen is if you've got a defender who goes off for 10 minutes, you just sit back for 10 minutes. Like all we're going to see is the games becoming worse spectacles. Where if you go sin bin, you know that on the sideline the manager's going to go five at the back, get everyone back, steer everyone back for 10 minutes, have a little breather, and then go again. And it's just going to make the game worse.
I just don't have any faith that they'll enforce it correctly. Therefore, I don't want it.
I know what you're saying.
And I'm not
that's a good
disagreeing with
point.
Josh on the logic. Like, I could, if we had officials who I thought were great, I would like, yeah, maybe we'll listen to this. The VAR, and here's the thing that really is annoying me the most is who the fuck is thinking this up, and how can they just enforce this on the people's game with no consent for what we want? Because as far as I'm concerned, it's like, who the fuck is deciding?
So you're
Sarson, wait,
basically...
no,
Does anyone around this table know who enforces this? Like in person?
no.
Is it Richard Masters or? You know,
It's the PGMOL.
because to me,
the associated.
To me, if we had football authorities who were in any way fit and proper, they'd look at the absolute shit show that is VAR and go, we have fucked this beyond belief. Yeah. We're now dragging the games out longer. We're taking forever to make up decisions that even, like, we've still not got right? So we're just taking longer to make the wrong decision. Let's suck it up. If they really cared about the game, they would have done away with VAR, in my opinion.
Do you know what the thing that, for me, is the key nail in the coffin for this blue card thing is? How can you ever compare Premier League football now to what it was 20 years ago? Like, it does almost feel like a completely different game.
It's like,
if you think
it's like WE back in the 90s compared to now.
Yeah. It's like you know when we're talking about like Premier League goal scorers of all time.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think in 20 years' time we're going to be able to compare those stats anymore, because you've literally got 10 minutes more in a game minimum if we're looking at that rule change. Then you've got all the VAR stuff, which quite frankly is probably given more goals, or I don't know. They've taken away goals and given goals, but you know it's different horses of courses. And then you look at all the other rule changes that are going to be coming in. It is a completely different game. It's almost like the change that's happened when the back pass rule came in, or when we went from 2 to 3 points. Like, it is that big a change. The rules that we've had as a collective.
Defenders used to be able to do.
Yeah.
Roy Keane would be in jail now. Like, you know what I mean? That's
Could have killed someone.
Yeah, well, that's what people would say. Like honestly, you look back at football from when we were growing up in like the noughties and stuff, and like
It was so much more free flowing and fun.
it was so
I think,
quicker.
personally, I
back
think
and
football's
forth.
peaked.
I agree.
I think football's
Yeah.
peaked, bro. I honestly do, because of what you're saying now. Because
do you
it's
know-
so much. It just feels like everything is a machine. It feels like
Exactly.
The shame is it should be getting better.
But-
Yeah,
because
but that's what I'm saying, 'cause
we're
getting-
in a time now where we've got the best league. Like earlier on in my life, it was like Italy probably had the best league. We're in a time now where we've got the best league. We can attract the best stars, but we're just fucking it with all this stupidness.
we're making
like,
it so mechanical. We're making it so much about XG, about VAR.
It's
and
more
not
about
the players.
athleticism.
Yeah, it's not about
more
the
about
players.
athleticism and less about
It isn't about the
brilliance
talent.
and talent. Like, for me, back in the 90s, 2000s, it was so much more about talent. And now, I mean, look,
Because even if you deep it, I feel like growing up, every team had a worldie.
Yeah.
Bolton had a Kocha. You know what I mean? Palmer had Varane.
you had
and-
Janino, players like that, just magicians on every team.
In every team. Whereas now, like, I think that the average players got better because they're just fitter and they're just more athletic. But
I think some of it is like the pepification of football, like the kind of system.
System,
And
yeah.
Klopp, it's about running, it's about containing the ball, maintaining possession, making less mistakes.
There's no
it's
risk.
not about
It's
taking
not risk.
chances,
Yeah, it's not
it's
risk.
about running forward and opening the games up the way it used to be.
I went and watched my nephew play. And he's 10, right? I went and watched my nephew play a few weeks ago, and
You're
it's
a baller.
yeah, he's decent, but like I was just watching. You know, he does 7-a-side, and it's like you can see managers being like, you know, if someone does step overs or someone tries to beat someone like that, careful, get back in your spot. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
round of applause for tracking back, not for trying to beat someone or trying to do anything. It's like, and it's a shame because I feel like the players that we've actually got in the England setup right now are players who came through. As you know, as we say, sort of 10, 15 years ago, when we were trying to get more
street.
technical players, we were trying to get dribblers through, and that's why we've got players like Saka, like Foden, who can beat people. Whereas now, I feel like kids are going to be growing up in an era where you've got to cover your left back. Do you know what I mean? You've got to invert into midfield rather than just play.
I also think it's a stats thing now. So if you look at back in the day, let's say a stat like dribbles completed. If a player did 10 dribbles in a game and fucked up 8, but he scored on 2 of them, we class that as good. But now they'll look at dribbles completed. He's only done 2 out of 10.
Yeah.
So
A
people don't
classic
want to do
example
it.
is what
Do you know
Pep
I mean?
Guardiola did to Grealish.
Yeah.
Just ruined him. Like, in my opinion, just fucking ruined him. And if Grealish had been playing 20 years ago, we'd be talking about him as one of the most like exciting players of that era.
Like
So
a
what-
magician,
he's killed him.
Well, I was going to say, what happened? Gaza in the modern era.
There you go.
What would happen?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? He'd be sitting
Imagine
on the
Gaza
bench.
tracking back.
Yeah,
it would have just been shite. That, you know what I mean?
All the players we grew up with, Cantona, Bergkamp. Like Bergkamp's a different one because he was really physical, but like I think you're losing your mavericks in football now.
Yeah.
You know.
I've got one for you then. If you could get rid of one thing out of the modern game, one rule, what would you get rid of?
Go around the
Well,
table.
It's for me. It's obvious it's VAR, but I'm trying to think of something a little.
Would you get rid of it like completely?
Yes.
Would you
Yeah.
wipe it
No,
off?
bro.
Obviously, goal line technology, and if there's one they could actually do for the offside rather than the whole drawing the line.
automated offsides.
If there was a way
What,
to
what
have
I
an
would do with
automated offside.
VAR, I would do it how you know how they do tennis when they do the challenges on tennis, like with the points.
Yeah.
So
I
a
would
manager,
do-
a manager
I
gets
would,
3
yeah,
opportunities.
you get 2. You can only
Yeah.
get 2 a game
Okay.
or something
That's a
like
good
that.
idea.
Like I wouldn't do it like every little thing.
I would prefer that massively, yeah, because as much as being right is important, this is entertaining.
Yeah, bro. I
Yeah?
want to be entertained, bro. I kind of like the hand of God, and I
Yeah.
like those things because it's iconic. Do you know what I mean? Those things. So it's like, I think I would limit VAR.
Do you know the one for me that I would change? And it's funny you mentioned the hand of God because there was a game recently. I think it was this weekend. I can't remember which one it was, but there were 2 penalties given for handballs where they literally were players with their hands above their head, but they would jump in for the ball, like completely natural. We would do that in our football matches, every single time, and you would never give a penalty in like just a general football game because of that. I'm sick and tired of all these penalties being given for like absolutely no reason.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what? The one thing that I would change is honestly just make that an indirect free kick.
But my
Like,
question,
that would
my
improve
question
things
to everyone
overnight.
here, what is handball? Is it deliberate? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is it deliberate where you stop the ball with your hand, or is it just if it just hits
No,
your
it's
hand?
not. It's not purely deliberate
Yeah,
anymore, and
yeah.
that was the thing that we kind of grew up with: is accidental handball is not a penalty.
It's not a
Now
penalty.
it's unnatural position.
Yeah.
Which is
But what is
bollocks.
it? What is an unnatural position? If you,
It's bollocks.
Mate, this is the thing.
my
So
point-
say, for
Debatable.
example, if you were to fall over now, we're not playing football, you were to fall on the floor, you wouldn't pencil, would you?
Yeah,
You
that's
would try and break
the point,
your fall. But then if a football hits your hand while you try to break your fall, all
It's
of a
a
sudden,
penalty,
unnatural. It's like,
Mate,
actually, it's pretty fucking natural
I
to do
would
that.
stop.
Like,
I would stop at. Do you remember Gibbs in the Arsenal game where we beat them 6-0? He got.
No, wasn't it Oxlade-Chamberlain?
No. I'm glad you said that. But that was a clear red card, and that was a clear penalty. That is the handball that you should. That
should
should be the
give,
worst
yeah.
one. Yeah.
I don't think Suarez meant it that time.
For me, that's the one that I would change. I'm actually like. Some implementation of VAR I think is actually good, like the automated offsides. I think if they improved VAR, it'd be fine. But I think that one winds me up. more than anything.
I just think the morons who are enforcing it, I've just no faith in them.
But how do you get better at refereeing though?
Overhaul it. Overhaul the whole thing. Pay them better money. Like,
just basically have Wayne Rooney as the ref.
No, you just got to throw money at it. You got. There's so much.
No.
There
I
has
agree
been
with
good
you.
refs. Like I always thought Howard Webb was pretty good.
Yeah.
Howard Webb was pretty good. Matey with the weird eyes, he was pretty good, wasn't he? What was his name?
Kalina.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But then it's quite bad that we
That's
come back
two.
like 20
That's two.
years. I'm like,
They've been 2 guys. Man.
No,
But that's because they had common sense about them, and they were allowed to referee
Yeah, what you just
with a
said is
bit of
so-
common
Do
sense.
you know what- do you
And
know
here's
what
what I'm
it-
going to say on that: more rules take away a referee's ability to manage a game, because as we are working with people here, and when a game is a bit more feisty, you kind of can't referee to the exact same standard.
No, it's true.
It is a softer game. So for me, I feel like giving the referees a little bit more leeway and a bit more common sense. And yes, all right, we've got to have the general rules and regulations, but to have it by the book every single time in terms of the level of intensity in the game it's not applicable for me.
No, I agree with that wholeheartedly because I think the number one thing of reffing a game should be use your common sense. We understand there's nuances and there's like not every handball is the same. But if you have a rule about it, then you have to do it the same because it has to be consistent with everything else. But then you're not using your brain.
Mate, watching Newcastle play Liverpool this season at Anfield, I've never seen any. I'd like to say I'd never seen anything like it. When we played Paris Saint-Germain, we got robbed as well for a penalty. But it was so overwhelming in Liverpool's favour on countless decisions. That's something that I feel like referees need to be a bit more braver in as well. In atmospheres where, because when I watch Man United and Liverpool, the amount of innocuous little things that in a normal Wolves versus West Ham game would be highlighted that get let go in the Anfield atmosphere. And I mean, like the diving, for example, of that little rat Liverpool have got from, what's his name?
Jota.
Yeah,
Jota.
fucking just throw themselves to the floor.
Do-
Shit like that pisses me off.
Do you know what?
Yeah, that
like
was
we were
mad.
saying about the
That
VAR
was
as
so
well,
mad.
right? I've been to, I think, every game in Chelsea's cup run to the final of the League Cup this year, and obviously we haven't had VAR in the cup, and I actually think that not having VAR, not only is it like obviously the game slowed down and whatnot, it's elevated the performance of the referees, and it's elevated. You can see the referees more confident on the field. Like it's almost like taking the shackles off and going, right, it's all
know
on
what?
you now, and you get
Because someone's not over your shoulder about
Exactly.
to correct you all the time. So you're
Exactly.
actually the authority for a change.
Exactly.
Instead of worrying, when this gets watched back, am I going to be... And personally, much preferred the cup games.
It's been such
Yeah.
a good
That's
atmosphere.
exactly
and
why we
the
should get
game
rid of it.
just
Yeah,
felt
and
so
also
good.
a lot of the time when you go the VAR thing, they have a screenshot of the thing.
So
Yeah.
annoying.
You fucking hate that,
That's
don't
crazy.
you?
So
No, that's crazy
annoying.
though,
Yeah,
bro.
it is.
So
They've got
when you
screen-
go
it
over
makes
to a
it look so
monitor
much
and it's a
better.
and it's a stationary
And you've already
image.
got that. You already got that in the person's head, fam.
Yeah.
Because football, we all know football's played at 100 miles an hour, especially these guys. They move so quickly. So to stop it on a freeze frame, always, I've never understood that ever. Because you never, like referees back in the day, even when we just play football at Sunday League, you would never contextualize a foul based on like one image.
Well, you never get to see the intensity of how fast he was running,
Yeah.
what body language,
Yeah,
all of
yeah.
that. You take all of the context out of it.
What was the
Yeah,
one where
yeah, that's
Gordon
what-
got kicked off the pitch? Do you remember that one?
Who, sorry?
Anthony Gordon.
Oh yeah, and that led
was-
to a goal.
that was a really bad
We've been so fucked this season, but I know every fan gets complaints or whatever, but we've had some pretty bad dives go against us and stuff like
The
that.
worst ones, Wolves, they have had some bad decisions.
Yeah.
VAR.
Yeah.
Someone was accumulating the
What,
amount of
against
points.
them?
Yeah, someone's accumulating the amount of points, like actual stonewall ones that everyone would agree would be overturned. It's like 9 points that they've missed out on this season.
Was that the
It's crazy.
Onana? Was that the Onana sort of punch?
Well,
that
he,
got-
he just punched the defender straight in the face.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's
Mate, he landed a cleaner shot than
Yeah,
Deontay
but you know,
Wilder,
he,
in fact.
he was
Honestly.
he was settling
It was
into the
mental.
league. It's
He's
not
ready-
like he still does that sort of stuff now. So,
and
yeah.
Arna's getting ready for Riyadh season. He's
Yeah.
looking
Mate.
at Garni.
We're watching this game, by the way. Villa are just like, they're not clicking at all here, are they? It's not falling for them.
It's funny though because they've had a lot of opportunities where they've been in that area there, where they've been on the edge of the area. They've played a through ball, but they just haven't been able to connect with it. It's a bit of a strange one. They definitely have had sort of like territorial moments where they could have scored a goal and they haven't done it. It's weird.
I feel like
Finishing.
neither team has looked good.
Yeah, no.
at all.
Since United scored, they haven't done anything.
Nah, they haven't.
I mean, to be fair, Onana's just had a goal kick there. He just goes straight back and he just boots it out.
Applauds himself.
Yeah,
right afterwards.
I love it. We can't all give our own reviews, but if
I
we
do
could,
that all day long.
5 out of 5.
All day long, I do that.
It's good for your mental health there. You got to back yourself.
Yeah. But Man United were really threatening early on, and it's sort of slowed down. Villa are coming back into it, but they're not like, wow, Bailey looking good here. But man, he's got 5 Man United players.
That was quite bad by Bruno.
Yeah.
That was quite bad. So
But he's on
Bruno
his
just
knees
flew
begging, so he can't be that bad, mate. This guy.
in. He is a joke.
Is he getting a yellow card?
He's an absolute joke. It's definitely.
I want to see
yellow.
this again. Come on, let's have a fucking look at this. What is it with Sky, man?
Don't worry, it'll be VAR. Don't
Fuck
worry
me.
about that, lads.
No, it did look
We'll
bad,
have a
but
good
it
look at
might.
it.
But again, like in context.
Freeze frame this, boys, because if this is freeze framed, he's off.
Well, he was taking the piss out of them, so I don't know if he got a bit.
Oh, come
it's
on,
gone.
that is a.
It's gone, you know.
They've got to look at that.
Hey,
He's
Nice
properly
one.
followed through there.
hey.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
his
think he's
foot
lucky
up.
that Bailey lifts his leg right,
Right, yeah.
and they've given nothing.
Oh my days!
And again, just as I was saying,
It's a free kick.
no, but the point is, there's no card for that when he's gone studs up on him, and only for the raise of the leg from Bailey. Does there no damage done? Like, do you have to take his ankle out? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
This is it. Do you have to wait till he does break his leg until you actually?
Yeah,
give a
it's
cut?
another one of why do players throw themselves down in the penalty area, to be fair, is because the referees sometimes are so dumb unless you actually make a meal of it.
Oh, I tried
Oh,
it.
that was a good effort.
Got a corner out of it.
That was a really good effort. John McGinn with a free kick, whips it in, front post.
But
Close.
these are the little things that I'm talking about with Man United and Liverpool, the mega clubs specifically. It's not that I think that they get completely different treatment to other clubs in terms of like, is a foul a foul? It's that the little things that should be yellow cards don't be on getting given against them on a consistent basis. Yellow cards don't become red cards when they should be. You know what I mean? Like, that's the thing I see consistently.
Oh.
But yeah, I mean, Villa are piling on, but they're just not getting much.
They're piling. I think they lack a little bit of quality in the final third. They're playing Jacob Ramsey as a kind of 10, and I love Jacob Ramsey, but I feel like they lack maybe like a Buendia, someone who's got that pass that can unlock.
or a
United
Paqueta
football.
or someone.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of chat actually that they're getting a bit sick of Watkins, which is mad considering how good he's been.
Corner, and it's cleared. Really good defending from Varane and Maguire in terms of like, but it's food and drink for them. Like, I think Villa are making it a little bit easy. They're not playing their football as much. Bruno Fernandes throws himself on the floor for nothing there, man. Fucking hell. He's got no shame, like.
I like that though.
Yeah, I mean, if he's on your side.
I like that.
Yeah.
Bro. I like them shit house guys, man.
Mate, if you like shithouse guys, Bruno must be your guy.
Yeah,
mate. Bruno's the king.
He's the king of shithousery, bro.
But I'm thinking about Jose Mourinho for Newcastle, lads.
I've been thinking about Jose
Really?
Mourinho quite a lot myself, actually.
You want Jose? Don't you think
always
Jose's
at night?
spark is gone?
Do you reckon?
I'm asking.
No, I mean,
I mean, he's not what he was.
Yeah, he's just not what he was. Like that special pizzazz that he had.
football's not what it was. I still
True,
think Jose.
true.
I still think Jose Mourinho. I think if you're holding him to the standard of where he was at with Porto, Inter Milan, Chelsea, then yeah, of course. But I think if you're just going on about, it's like I was speaking with the Pochettino thing, right? Everyone in my comments, and I said, you know, Jose might be an option. Everyone straight away, you think Jose's going to win the league with this? No, but I was saying I didn't think Pochettino was going to win the league with this Chelsea side. It doesn't mean that I think that Jose's the saviour, but sometimes when you're looking at what you've got and you're like, okay, could this be a slightly better option? I still think Jose Mourinho is a very, very capable manager. You look at everyone can say, the win percentage has gone down. Barring Spurs, who win nothing, he has won trophies at every
place,
single one of his last 5 clubs or
Got them
something
to a
like
cup
that.
final as well.
Exactly, and probably would have won that. You know, when you look
yeah.
at his record in finals. So.
But we had him on the list of topics today, and I just thought, you know, if Eddie did go, I'd give Jose a go
you have
straight
him?
away. The reason being is we don't win trophies, and he does. And
you've
if
got-
anyone can break that shit, it's him, actually.
You as a fan base have got a little bit of a soft
loved
spot
him.
for Jose as well.
Because Sir Bobby obviously brought him into football as his translator and taught him everything he knew. And I think there's always been this thing about, one day going to Newcastle, do it for Sir Bobby sort of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
We love romance. And that's another thing about football we love.
In terms of the odds, Jose most likely to go to any Saudi club, 1-3 on.
Cool.
Next is Chelsea,
That makes sense, though.
4-1 on. Then it's Bayern, which, considering how bad Tuchel has been there, you can understand why. Napoli, then Newcastle, then Barcelona, then Portugal. And then after Porto is Palace, and then the England national job.
England national job is the one for me. I
Yeah.
would love him as the England manager.
Would you?
I don't.
Same.
I don't know
Would
if
you
he
guys?
suits
Yeah, love
league
him.
football so much anymore. Because I do think league football's so much
Yeah,
about being able to
Jose
build a good
tournament
attack.
football
Jose
would be different,
tournament
yeah.
football, mate. Like, on it, especially with the team that we've got, and like. You know, we all know Jose from the Premier League. And like, even as an Arsenal fan, bear in mind, Jose's Chelsea came in just as Arsenal, like, we'd done the Invincibles, we were supposed to dominate then, and he just came in and just ruined everything. I've still got a soft spot for him, though. I still like him. He's funny, mate.
What Jose did to Wenger over the years, criminal.
Mate, it's horrible. It's horrible. But if he
was
could
it
be...
1000th game?
Mate, I
Specialist in
don't bring it
failure.
up, mate. Don't bring it up.
That
Game.
specialist in
Don't
failure was the one for me. That was like a line from like a really bad like diss song.
It's
Like,
like, WWE kind of
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
It
But
was Nas, Jay-Z
But imagine
level.
having
like,
him on your side for England. Like, if there's one thing... I was about to say I like Gareth Southgate. I abide Gareth Southgate. No, look, I like Gareth Southgate, the man. I like the guy.
the man or the boss.
I like the,
Yeah.
I like the guy. He's a nice guy. I like the stuff he says about what England should mean, what it should represent. Do I like him as a football manager? I like him as a Labour politician. But if I could swap him out for a bastard like Jose,
Yep.
who could come in, bring us a bit of dark arts. We got a lot of young players in that England team. If you could give them a bastard who could just help us get over the line,
Get over the line, certain
mate.
games,
Tournament
yeah.
football. Jose,
No, I hear
it's perfect, mate. International football's a bit slower, perfect.
But he's probably going to go Saudi, innit?
Because he's a villain.
I don't
he's
know.
A perfect villain.
I don't know if he will go Saudi. You know,
I think
there's
I
something
think
to
he's
say.
really hoping for another shot in the Premier League.
If comedy was in Saudi, you're not going to go?
Well, me.
Well, asking you, bro.
What, you saying I'm not going next week? Al Hilal's fucking AGM, man. I'm announcing the player awards.
I'll go to the opening of an envelope in Saudi, mate. Whatever they need me for.
Chance for Villa.
What is going on here?
This is mad.
The quality of this game is absolutely shit.
Mate, every time we watch Man United, we say this, like, the games are awful, but like that goal that they scored was quality, like, credit them, but like, how on earth Villa haven't made more of all of this dominance that they've had in that final third?
I think at the start of the game, United were doing quite a good job of pressing Villa and not letting them play through. Now, Villa are getting through every time. They're getting into United's box. Villa won't want this half to end. They'd want another 10 minutes of this because they're starting to bang on the door properly now. I just think they need either someone who can give them a final ball or they need another outlet, like someone else that they can aim at in the box they can get crosses in. They've got Moussa Diaby on the bench who started the season really hot, but he's not really...
What is going on with him? Like, seriously, what is going on with him? What was it I said to you at the start of the season? I said he'd be signing the season. I said Diaby's unreal. And I can't remember who the player was that you were telling me was a better player than him or a better signing. But I was so high on Diaby, I was thinking he was absolutely brilliant. And obviously, he has looked good, like, in spurts when he's played. But he just can't really seem to hold down a first-team spot for Villa. When you look at how good he was, it was Leverkusen who was at last season, wasn't it? How good he was there. I thought that he was going to literally transform that team. And he just hasn't really kicked on this season in that side. And when a team are playing as well as Villa have been, it's like, you know.
I'm looking at his stats here. 23 appearances, only, to be fair, 18 starts, 4 goals, 4 assists. So it's all right. It's
not bad.
He scored a banging goal against Newcastle at St James's, and that's when the whole stadium were like,
yeah,
should we have gotten him?
Yeah.
I mean, he came with a great reputation, but yeah, it hasn't happened. And I am surprised when you look at this game because it is crying out for that little touch of quality to open them up. I do have to give credit to Varane and Maguire. They're the last line of defence, like holding on for dear life right now. And if it wasn't for them, I think they probably would have conceded.
And that's how Maguire wants to play. Let's be honest. That's Maguire's game.
Yeah.
If you can just sit him in a box and tell him to just head airplanes out the air, he'd do that all. Yeah, exactly. He'd do that all day long, mate.
Yeah.
It's when you put him on a halfway line and try and get him to pass the ball, he's in trouble. But it's kind of suits United now because this is how they want to play. Maguire likes defending like this. Rashford, Hojlund, Garnacho want to play on the break. You wouldn't be surprised if United just sucker punch him and get a second goal now, would you?
That's exactly what happened with West Ham last week.
Yeah.
West Ham threw 1-on-1 on goal. You're actually stunned that they haven't put it in the back of the net. And 15 seconds later, it's in their net.
But this is the reason that their away record against good teams has been bad, because usually good teams have got the quality that if they get that amount of time in United's box, they'll just score.
I think it says more about Villa right now. The fact that Villa now are looking like their 3rd consecutive home defeat if they can't turn this around in the second half. And this is kind of what I felt when watching them against Newcastle was I don't really feel threatened that much. They don't look like they're going to link enough passes together to break us down.
I think you've got to get Jacob Ramsey. I love Jacob Ramsey, by the way. I'm a huge fan of the kid, and I think he's got an England career ahead of him. But today, when you've got John McGinn and him in that attacking 3 behind Watkins, you go, you don't need both of them. Get Diaby on, for God's sake.
If I'm watching this as a Spurs fan, I'm not too worried that either of these two are catching me.
Yeah.
They're not showing much class.
Not at all.
Really,
neither of them looked like they could touch Spurs.
What do you think of Spurs yesterday?
I've only seen the highlights, but I thought they were good. What do you reckon?
Same.
You feeling a bit bitter
What? In what way?
about Spurs?
About Postecoglou?
Yeah, I mean, like, he's
my
smashing
guilty
it.
pleasure this season. I have to go back, including still now, really, a long time since I've liked a Spurs manager. And Postecoglou, man, like he's one that I look
feel
at
good
and I'm
manager.
like, yeah, you're...
I think there's something about him where I feel like a lot of clubs should be looking going, fuck, you're way better than what we thought.
Yeah, but he is a bit kamikaze though.
Yeah.
It's been kamikaze at times when they've had major injuries, and I think that's where when you guys talk about your injuries, I'm like, yeah, but does it really matter? Like the players that you have, like I don't really understand the level of drop off that is being spoken about. Whereas with Spurs, I fully understood the drop off, and the drop off was very clear. You lost a few players, it hammered you. They got them back. You came back, and even then, it wasn't like it was bad, but it didn't go on and on and on. It was like 4 bad games. For me, I'm just showing all of the makings of a top manager. And as a Newcastle fan, I kind of thought Eddie was that guy, and maybe still might be. But this season, he isn't looking quite the guy that Ange is, to be honest. I mean, it's nice not to have Champions League football for them, and that's probably helped them a lot, where we've had a lot more games, minutes, injuries. But I've been blown away by Ange. And I think, for me, when you're a charismatic bloke, it goes a long way in the dressing room as a footballer to be inspired by. That's one of the things that's never happened with Ten Hag. And people ask me, why do you not rate him? I'm like, there's nothing about him that inspires me. Ange, you look and you go, he's that father figure that players will run through a brick wall for.
And also, they've been playing great football.
Exactly.
Which Spurs haven't done.
And he's done that
long
at
time.
every club he's managed. He's got them playing better football than anyone else has seen from that team in years. And with Spurs going from boring football under Conte, where you're relying on just whacking it long, he's transformed them. And this is what breaks down a lot of the narratives for other teams' failures, is to go, oh, well, we can't expect to, do this because of this, we can't do it because of that. Mate, Ange's got a bunch of players who are playing everyone behind the ball football and transformed them in a season where they lost their greatest footballer, arguably ever, to play for the club. Every excuse every other manager has got outside of injuries and, is kind of null and void by
And
him.
he's improved players, by the way. We talk
Oh,
about
mate,
Ten Hag,
yeah.
mate. Ange has improved players. I mean, Sarr in their midfield. I watched him season before last. I was like, Jesus Christ,
Yeah, but
this guy's
sometimes I'm not
championship.
even sure if it's improving players. I think it goes to what you said about wanting to play for the manager. Like, do you know what I mean? There's no
But
inspiration.
that's part of it, yeah.
Look at Bissouma. Bissouma at Brighton, unbelievable. Comes to Spurs under Conte, and I was like, God, did they get something wrong? Back in under Postecoglou now. I know he
Balling
didn't play
out,
yesterday,
yeah.
but mate, Bissouma is unbelievable. Like Van der Ven that they've got in defence, unreal, mate. Like they've got some really good players. And Richarlison, I don't like saying it. I mean, look, Arsenal.
That's the one for me.
Arsenal got Gabby Jesus up front. I'm looking at Richarlison going, we got the wrong Brazilian.
It's like he's had a
that's
brain
the thing
transplant,
about-
mate. That like, what the fuck has happened there? Because I've never looked at that lad and thought Richarlison can be a complete centre forward. At times this season, and I know this is going to trigger the Chelsea boys, he's looking like fucking Diego Costa. He's a pain in the arse. He's everywhere. He's bullying defenders. He's finishing chances. I'm not expecting it to continue because I don't think he's that guy. But Ange is making him look fucking outrageous.
But maybe it will continue. If Ange stays there, and let's be Ange is playing to his strengths properly. Like, properly playing to his strengths. He gets Son nice and close to him. Like, Bentancur yesterday was really good, I thought. I think Richarlison could go on to be a really good Premier League striker under Ange.
So you said you thought Diaby would be signing of the season. Who do you think is, though?
Son in the season.
Yeah. I would
Ross
say-
Barkley.
Nah, bro.
No. I'm
Before we
deadly
do
serious.
this, can I ask, before we
Sorry,
move on?
sorry.
Because
No, bro,
I like that. I like that. Before we move on, what is the limit, the ceiling for Ange at Spurs? How far can he take them based on what we've seen so far? Obviously, we don't know, but speculate.
Here, where they are.
Yeah,
now.
yeah. She's
Top
top
four.
four. Top four,
Yeah.
bro.
Top 4 is the limit.
Yeah. Yeah,
Unless
well,
they-
I mean, look at what we just said about Arsenal earlier. Look at what we just said about Arsenal in terms of, for them to still be in the title race, they're going to have a perfect next
No,
what,
I mean,
3 months or something
generally
like that.
though. Sorry, in the long run, I'm looking at the size of that fucking stadium. I'm looking at the potential to attract
Bro,
players.
say it,
No,
bro. If you think
no.
they can win the league, say it, bro.
I mean in the long run. I'm on about in the long
Top
run.
4 is the limit with Ange.
Nah.
Yeah, and also people who think that's me saying, he's maxed out now. I don't think there's anything wrong with saying that. I'd love to just be a top 4 team at the minute, the way things are going, and I can guarantee you that after a couple of years of being very mediocre, the Spurs fans would be happy to be a top 4 team. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think until something changes at the top of the table and Pep takes his stronghold off of this league, you're never going to look at a Spurs and say you're going to be competing for league titles. So
No.
I think if you could solidify them as a top 4 team, I think any Spurs fan would be buzzing with that.
No, I agree with you. But if they can get players in where if their top players get injured and a drop off is not as big, then why can't they challenge for the title?
In the same way,
they've
Arsenal.
done
In
it.
the same way Arsenal are. Not in the same way I think they can beat. I don't think anyone's compete with City.
Just for
Do you know
context,
what I mean?
they're only 7 points off of the top right now, and it's Big Ange's first season. So, like, all I'm saying is, I wouldn't blame someone logically if they went, if this is where he is now, improve the squad. He hasn't got his own players for his own identity, and yet he's already got them playing his style. What if he buys more players to his identity? What if he adds to that? Can he not bridge that gap in the long run?
More often than not, though, when we say that,
They
doesn't-
don't. No,
it doesn't
I
end up
do-
happening like Eddie Howe, Ten Hag. Like, there's a lot of times, even just
No, I
last season
agree,
when
I
we were
agree.
going,
I do
he's
agree
done
with
this in his first season. I'm just saying, I think if I'm being realistic, listen, when Spurs have a good win, play good football, it's easy to get carried away with things. I'm just saying, if I'm being realistic here, I think this is the cap, and I don't think there's anything wrong with this being the cap, because football, ultimately, the bigger picture, but it's about the feeling it gives you, the moments it gives you, and Spurs fans are really lucky because they're having a lot of good ones this season. They'll have a lot of good ones to come, but I just think with the competitiveness of the league, this is probably...
I think he'll end up winning a trophy at Spurs and breaking the curse. And
Do you think he'll be an FA
he'll
Cup?
win a FA Cup or a Carabao Cup, yeah.
You don't look...
or Europa League.
I don't know about Europe, but...
Europa League.
What is
if
it that's
for whatever
holding you
reason
guys
they
back?
finish sixth.
What is the outside of it doesn't usually happen? Spurs have challenged for a title before.
Can I see what's holding me back? So the question is, how far can
Big Ange.
can Big Ange go with Spurs?
Long term.
Long term? What's holding me back long term? I don't think he stays there long term. Because I think if you look at the landscape of the Premier League of who's going to be going, we know Klopp's going this summer.
All right, let's just suggest he is, though, for the sake of...
Well,
Big
okay,
Ange at Liverpool.
If I was a Liverpool fan, that's what I'd want.
If Ange was a free agent
Yeah.
now, do you reckon he's choosing Liverpool over Spurs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course.
But then,
But for the sake of the argument, sorry, for the sake of the
everyone thinks that Liverpool are getting their guy from Leverkusen, Xabi Alonso. Like
they have to get him. They have to get Xabi
Yeah,
Alonso.
so no one.
I don't know.
So
No, they
right,
have to,
right
bro.
now,
Yeah, I know they will want him. I don't
Big
know they get
Ange
him.
is likely to stay
really?
at Spurs for a while. They've got him under contract. You know what the chairman's like about his contracts. You fucking have to pry. You need a crowbar to pry Big Ange away from Spurs right now.
Yeah.
So he's going to be there for a while.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Come on, Jacob. What are you saying?
I guess my reservation is Spurs rather than Ange. My reservation is you've still got Joe Levy there, and he's just not proven. I know they've got some good players in under Ange. I know Van der Ven, Richarlison was there already, Basuma was there already. They brought Madison in.
mate, their recruitment recently has been brilliant.
It's been brilliant.
Their
But
recruitment
Josh,
is probably one of the
Josh,
best in the league.
as I guess as a fan of a club like Arsenal, who are maybe sort of 2 or 3 years ahead in terms of we got the right guy, the right manager, we got some transfers right. Do you know how? Essentially, what we're asking is, can he compete for the title?
You're 2 or 3 years
think about
ahead,
it.
and you're 5 points ahead right now.
Yeah,
We're
but
5 points ahead, but
I'm-
we're 2 title challenges in.
I'm understanding that. I'm saying, but
we've
if I
got a
was if I
trophy.
was a Spurs fan,
We've qualified
and I'm trying
for
to play
Euro.
their sort of angle here, I think they should be extremely excited by it, because what we're seeing is he's turning chicken shit into chicken salad, with some of these old players who really should not be performing to the level that they have done. And then he's showing that he's got good talent ID, bringing good players in, and he's a man motivator. He's good tactically, like all of the things a manager needs to be a success.
You've got to remember as well, Klopp's going, Pep probably goes in a couple of years. Like, there is potential that he could go and push for the league. I understand your rationale. I'm
not saying he will.
I just think
I'm-
they'll be close. I think they'll be close. I think they'll challenge like they're going to be doing this year. You know, they're 7 points behind. I still think that's a big gap. They'll challenge, but I don't think they'll quite do it. But then he will get something good going in the cups. I think
He's
they've got a
impressed
good
me
enough
more
cup
than
team.
anyone else this season, because I thought Spurs would have a major drop-off without their man Harry Kane. And I certainly didn't think that the football... Remember, last season, Newcastle beat them 6-1 at St James's. And I've never seen a team roll over like a bunch of pussies the way they did. So it wasn't just that they were losing their best player. They didn't look like they had anything left afterwards in terms of mettle, team spirit. So for him to come in and take that lot, who we just annihilated, and transform them in terms of mentally on the pitch, I can't believe what he's done.
I think we talk about the top 6 in the Premier League, and I think right now there's a kind of a top 3 with Arsenal, Liverpool, and City. I think we can agree on that, can't we? They're in the title race together. Those games when they play each other, when it's Arsenal, City, Arsenal, like Liverpool, blah blah blah. Those 3 when they play, it feels like a different level of football, doesn't it? When it's Arsenal, Liverpool, City, those games. I think just below that, there's a category where you kind of put Spurs, Villa, United now, probably Newcastle, and that's what Chelsea want to get into. Is that
Spurs
group.
are better than all of those teams.
They've got to
that's
prove
true.
that.
They are
agree.
consistent.
Yeah, they are.
They've got
They
to prove
actually are.
that. They've got to prove that.
I would say I agree with you. I think they're like those 3 teams, but I think Spurs are like they're right on the edge. They're
They've got to
knocking on
prove
that door into.
For me, that is the next challenge for Ange. Is he has to prove that he can move up now. I mean, Joey said, and Brian, you've said yourself that you think Liverpool might drop down a bit next season when they lose Klopp. The challenge for me, if I'm a Spurs fan, I'm looking at Ange, I'm going, right, if Klopp goes, Liverpool drop out of that kind of top 3 with City and Arsenal, we have to go into it. We have to show that we can go to the top of the table and stay there for a while. We have to show we can go to grounds like Anfield, grounds like the Etihad, and
get
properly
results, yeah.
compete, get results. They have to beat Arsenal. They haven't done that under Ange yet. Don't get me wrong.
They gave you a fucking good go earlier.
They gave us a
didn't
good go, but then it's only because Jorginho threw the ball in the back of the fucking net that they got a point against us. So let's be real about Ange. I really like the guy, and I am an Arsenal fan. I really like the guy, but look, we're halfway through a season. There's a long way to go. I think the first thing they've got to do is show they're the best of the rest. That's the first thing they've got to do. Then next season, if anyone's going to capitalise on Klopp leaving Liverpool and Liverpool maybe having a dip, I'm not sure they will, by the way, but if they do, then Spurs have got to show they can go into that group and compete for the title. And I don't know if they will, because you have to get everything right to do that. You can't make a misstep.
You can't have 4 games that you lose in a row, can you? You can't do that.
they? And the maddest thing is, they lost 4 in a row. They've only lost 5 all season. So if they hadn't have done that,
They'd be right up
they're
there.
still right up there with you. So, yeah, I mean,
And they only had that because of the injuries.
exactly.
But I don't take the
Injuries will
views.
increase with Champions League football, as Newcastle found out the hard way.
Injuries will increase if you keep doing daft things like buying injury-prone players. Like you can feel unlucky if Declan Rice breaks his leg, because Declan Rice hasn't missed a game of football in years.
Yeah.
When Maddison turns up at your club and you go, "Oh, for God's sake, Maddison's injured." Yeah, that's why no one else bought him, because he's always injured.
Yeah.
Because he does it every season.
Availability is the best ability.
They're coming out for the second half now. We're going to move on to the question beforehand, which was signing of the season so far.
Well, you rubbished my claim there when I said Ross Barkley, but I'm telling you now.
No, but man.
He's got the best.
If we're talking about this, right? If we say, for example, right, what player has been solely responsible the most for an elevated performance, an elevated league position in their team? So we can go, Declan Rice has been brilliant. Arsenal are third.
I would say Cole Palmer. Answering your question.
You picked his Achilles heel.
We're lower.
Literally, it's the one player he can't argue against.
I can argue against it.
I would say Cole.
I can argue against it.
I just can't say Ross because I think Luton are going to get relegated.
Okay, but my argument would be this. If Cole Palmer doesn't sign for Chelsea this season, we may be a little bit lower than we are, but we might be a spot lower. We might be 12th instead of 11th.
Right.
If Ross Barkley doesn't sign for Luton, I think I think they're bottom of the table, and I think by the 30-game mark, they're there or thereabouts of being relegated already. With Ross Barkley in there pulling strings in the midfield, let's be honest, I think they've got as good a chance as anyone of actually staying up. So there, for me, I'm like straight away, if you're going on the significance one player has made to a team, I'd say Ross Barkley's signing the season.
No.
But Cole Palmer is a great shout.
No, you've made a good argument. I just think I feel like Ross Barkley playing at Luton is playing below his level, so he stands out. Whereas I feel like Cole Palmer has gone to a team that is that legit has so much quality, and he's young, and he's got the arrogance, and he's taken them. He's scored so many goals, and he's played well in big games.
Yeah, I suppose we didn't even know if Cole Palmer would actually be a first-team starter for us at first.
Exactly.
But I think if you'd go, Ross Barkley's fully fit, does he start for Luton? Yeah, of course he does. It's Ross Barkley.
Yeah.
But that shows you that Cole Palmer's come in and outperformed all of his expectations. I think that's a great thing for Cole Palmer.
I'm saying that is going in Cole Palmer's favour, that we didn't even know that he would be.
Shall we list some other options? What about
Madison's a good shout.
I was going to say for Spurs, Madison and Van der Ven. I think both of them have been unreal.
Yeah, Van der Ven's been good.
Declan Rice. Yeah, Declan Rice is up there for me. It's hard because he's so expensive, but the thing I'll say for Declan Rice, I watched him in West Ham last season. He was easily their best player, and I've got to be honest with you, and I'm embarrassed saying it, I was worried about him coming in and adjusting to us. I was like, he's going to come in, and when I thought we were going to keep Xhaka, I thought maybe he'll share minutes with Partey and Xhaka. He's come in and just been our best player, easily, and that's a team that competing at the top of the Premier League, top at Christmas, beating City and Liverpool. And
one of the best performances this season I've seen from an opposition player was Rice. I remember thinking, fuck me, this kid is so hard to play against.
Yeah.
So unbelievable.
And do you know the unbelievable thing about him, and this is what West Ham fans are telling me as well, he's improving season by season.
Oh, yeah.
Every year he adds something. Yeah. Every single year. Like he suddenly started dribbling a couple of years ago. Now he can just run through people. He can shoot, he can pass. He's taking corners. Yeah. He's got 3 assists.
Sorry to interrupt, lads. What the fuck Man United have just done? It was so funny. Like, this is hilarious!
That's actually really
How did that nearly end up as a goal? It was their goal kick. Harry Maguire does this little thing where he knocks it to Onana. Onana plays it to the fullback, and the fullback just hands it straight back to Aston Villa and piles the pressure.
Is that
on
Lindelof?
Lindelof has just come on. Lindelof has just come on.
Do you know what? It was a good save, though.
Hold on.
Was that Lindelof?
We're saying that's a good save, and I'm not going to take the credit away. It was.
It's right.
If the goal goes in, we're going, oh my God, how has he not got to that straight at him?
It's right at him.
Straight at him. And we were saying this earlier. You know the save earlier? They were showing it back in slow-mo, mate. That was for the cameras. He made a massive meal of that save.
I really don't understand what we've... if you're a Man United fan, you're pulling your hair. It's suicidal.
Villa should be getting back in this game.
If Villa don't score a goal in this game... Ollie Watkins.
Do you know what Emery needs to say though? At half time, he goes, "You're not the goalkeeper. Just stick it either side of him. Stop sticking it on his chest, mate. It's fucking mental." But
Livramento, he won't be up there for signing the season, but
he doesn't play that much. It's a good signing, but he doesn't play.
I'm scarred by watching Livramento sit on the bench. The guy's absolutely class.
Malo Gusto, that's up there.
Other options.
What about Vicario at Spurs? He's been brilliant.
Yeah.
Goalkeepers. I mean, goalkeepers don't often win.
Petrovic. No, I'm not bantering. Petrovic, he's right up there. He's top 5.
Mate, I love all your options. I just don't think you can put Chelsea players
genuinely,
up there,
if Villa don't score soon,
we won't put Cole Palmer in there then.
Cole's up there.
What about
100%.
Liverpool signings? I mean,
Szoboszlai is
the first 8 games we were going, God, that's an unreal signing. Now he's been a little bit
his stats have been quite average.
Liverpool fans don't love him either. I think Liverpool fans would maybe say McAllister ahead of Szoboszlai.
Wow. It's in mind. It's Garnacho. got to turn him. He's turned him.
What has he
And
done?
he's fallen on his arse.
Offside
Himself
anyway.
down.
Offside. Yeah, he was offside.
Should we give our player then? Who do you think?
Is that them all?
Also, when you talk
I
about
think
Declan Rice, that game that he scored the last minute goal against Luton, Ross Barkley took him to school that game.
Oh, he did, mate.
saying, you know.
No, he did. No.
This is why Ross deserves it. Like Ross deserves
No,
it.
Ross, it is. I honestly do think it's Ross Barkley. I wasn't saying it's trying to be
Ross
quirky.
Barkley.
No. You made good points as well.
Ross Barkley's got the highest take-on rate in the Premier League in terms of dribbling.
Do you know the thing I rate about Ross Barkley is that quite a lot of footballers have looked down their noses at clubs and fucked their careers.
And not gone and played.
Yeah,
it's true. Good point.
They've sat on the sideline and thought, I'll wait until a better club likes me because I'm better than this. And because Ross Barkley didn't have that attitude, we're now all talking about potentially should he be in the England squad and all of that. And you know,
He should.
If he'd have played his cards the way other footballers like a Lingard maybe has,
Well, yeah.
he wouldn't be.
That's
be
the
spoken about that.
example I was
Hold
going
on.
to say. He hasn't bankrupted Luton either. He hasn't bankrupted him. He's taken a humble wage there.
Yeah.
Solanke wasn't signed this season, was he?
No.
No.
Right,
Don't worry.
he's been great though.
He has been
great.
good. Yeah.
Go on, then,
Give him
who
it.
was saying? Who was
Let's give it to him.
Go on then, lads.
So you're,
I'll go Solanke.
Are you saying Slanky?
No, he wasn't signed.
You say Ross Barkley.
Yeah.
I'll go Declan Rice.
I'll go Cole. Cold.
I'll go Maddison. I think in terms of all the players that you named, I think Maddison's impact on Spurs has been massive.
Madison.
I know he's been injured.
Is my second place.
I know.
If he stayed fit, he'd easily.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
you got to look
yeah.
at when he's been
Yeah.
on the pitch. He's just been immense. For
Madison
Spurs.
is
Who
class.
are you going with, Anana?
Madison.
You going Madison, yeah?
Mate, watching him,
He's
especially
class,
because
man.
Newcastle, you know, since we got the takeover, we were linked with him
So much.
constantly. And it's not just what he's done, it's the value for money, which you could argue Barkley clearly brings to the table. But in comparison to a lot of these other players, I think Maddison's been outrageous, mate. He's controlled games, he's carved sides up. It's brutal watching him, knowing that we could have had him. Horrible.
40 odd million.
Mate,
Barkley was on a
we've
free.
spunked
Insane.
so
Barkley
much.
was on a free.
There you go. We do have to take the transfer fee into it. And
No, definitely.
he's been
That's why.
good.
There
Declan's
is no
not in
fee,
my
mate.
thing.
He was on a
Well,
free.
exactly.
I mean,
That's why Declan is not in my. Is not my number one because he costs.
Yeah, you would
it's
want
100 mil,
you would want
you
him
gotta
to be
play
signed
like
in the
that. Yeah,
season.
yeah.
You spend 100 million on him.
Another rogue one, I'll just say, and I know it's another Luton player, but their goalkeeper, Kaminsky, he was £2.5 million. He's been brilliant as well.
he has
He's
been
kept them
brilliant.
in a few games.
Yeah, yeah.
their
Yeah, but
goalie.
I've always thought he'd be good when he was at that other team before.
Yeah, you always rated him.
And the team, yeah.
Joey knows his stuff.
I've always been a big Kaminsky fan. Yeah.
No, I think it's quite clear that Maddison's been the best out of those options.
We'll move on to Man City because they're apparently threatening legal action to the Premier League. Do you know the full
Dictionary
I
corner.
do.
Go on.
They're so hard
Dictionary
done
corner,
by.
you're gonna
They
call me
are
Big
hard.
Suits?
They are hard done by Man City, aren't they?
Oh, it's so unfair, isn't it? So we all know that the Premier League had a meeting on Wednesday and Thursday. We thought it was going to be related to FFP, so we were chatting and thinking that they were going to change all the rules with FFP.
We was quite excited, weren't we?
We were really
Yeah.
excited, and the big news out of that is there are going to be a few more community projects and this big news about sort of third-party associated clubs. So the news why Man City are so annoyed is that they maybe can't do some of the sponsorship things that they have been doing, allegedly.
So meaning, is that like when
allegedly.
they own the company that sponsors Man City?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So basically, the new rule changes that are being implemented by the Premier League, which Man City are apparently considering legal action for, is that you can't have, or there'll be limited impact of, third-party people being involved in companies that sponsor your football clubs, but also with some of the transfer dealing. So obviously, Man City have this ecosystem of football clubs. They've just signed Savio from Girona. Again, Girona having an amazing time in La Liga, and they've signed one of their better players in Savio. Apparently, some of the values haven't been quite fair in the past, and you'd understand why. Two happy teams together doing some dodgy deals. Not going to say you're not going to say anything related to Newcastle. I don't know why they're not threatening legal action, but
We haven't done it yet. Because we're watching Man City this isn't gone so well for this lot. Maybe we just play by the rules.
But you have to say, those regulations are completely fair. There should be a fair price that is agreed by the clubs, and it's not just some budget deal done because
Price
you're
for
doing,
what, though?
For players. So if you're getting a player that, Man City end up paying £10 million for, but he's actually worth £50 million, there is something inherently unfair with that. And a lot of other clubs that can't afford to do this sort of like worldwide structure of acquiring lots of football teams are rightly annoyed at it because it's not fair, is it? Like basically you hoard all the talent in your club infrastructure and then you can't make, fair deals, outside the league. So I think there will be a lot of pressure.
I think the thing, I don't know if I'm correct in what I'm saying here in terms of the sponsorship deals, but I think that's something that if that is the case where you're not allowed to have companies that you own also sponsor you.
It's that you're allowed to have them, but it has to be a fair rate. It can't be an overinflated rate.
Yeah, you could have an inflated rate and then it could, help your FFP and you can...
Yeah, exactly. And no one's accusing any Saudi-related clubs of buying shirts.
Well, ironically,
no, we're not accusing any teams of that.
This is the mental thing. This fucker supports Chelsea.
Yeah, and we've actually got Saudi money in the consortium.
I haven't even killed anyone yet. And Jack the Ripper over here has pointed the finger. You fucking right.
How many players did you sell to Saudi in the summer?
Honestly.
Let's not go into the details, mate. We're talking about them.
Yeah. All Todd Bowley did is he went on a plane and had a chat with them. It's fine.
Look, I kind of agree to some extent that there should be rules and regulations.
You shouldn't.
But it's about this FFP thing that obviously is another level of, for me, control. Like, I think, all right, there needs to be a fair market price, but who the fuck decides that?
Exactly.
Do you know what's mental, by the way?
Where is the market price at now?
Do you know what?
Just let me finish one second. The fair market price is where it is now. Because Man City have been inflating it.
Yeah.
So, we're only here to this point now because of what's already happened.
That's so true, by the way. The Shakhtar owner, when they sold Mudryk, he kept saying, he was like, we want what they paid for Grealish. So it's like they were the ones who raised the rate.
Exactly.
So how do you... It's so subjective. Yeah. How do you say he's not worth that? Well, what is he worth? Who gets to decide what they are worth?
Do you know what they've been using? This is no joke. They've been using Transfermarkt.
Wow.
I'm not even joking. They have actually been using that to determine fair rates.
Jesus.
Even we don't use Transfermarkt and we chat some shit.
Crossing out for a corner.
I'd be interested, right? When we're saying about FFP here, I personally, of course, I'd rather FFP wasn't really a thing. I liked it before it, but I support Chelsea. What do you feel about FFP? Because it's actually, as a Crystal Palace fan, right? It's actually the clubs lower down in the table that it's supposed to be there supporting and supposed to be there to help. Like, do you think FFP is doing a good job?
No, but it's just, I think things like that, the same way I think Kick It Out, they're just organisations to keep people like we're doing the right thing.
Yeah.
But there's ways to go around it. Do you know what I mean? There's ways to go around FFP. There's ways to go around all of that stuff. So I don't look at it like, oh yeah, man, it's good for us. Like the powers that be at the top, they don't play by the rules anyway.
So
so it's like
what
so true.
What I was sort of saying is, like, say for example, Newcastle, they should have been able to throw the checkbook at it, and they haven't been able to, right? And obviously that is something.
My point is that tactically they will eventually.
Yeah.
In a tactical way, the same way City have. In a tactical way.
It's going to be a longer process.
It's going to be a lot harder.
It's going to be a lot harder. That's the thing, mate. It will be a lot harder. And maybe at some stage we will be on a competitive level with Chelsea, Man United, Man City financially. I think that could take decades. Because
you reckon it could take decades?
Yeah, because
I think you're looking at 6 seasons or something.
Well, I don't. We could be in the middle somewhere. Because the reason I believe so is, you have to prove so much now that you are a club of that level. And the only way to do that is to what? Buy better players. Yep. To get into the Champions League, to win.
Oh, Rashford!
Nice.
If you can't buy those players at light speed like clubs have done, then it's going to take a long time to prove that you deserve that level of money. Now, the interesting thing, having a Crystal Palace fan at the table is, if you get bought out, the idea of you're all of a sudden going to spend a load of money is non-existent. So the dream that fans used to have when went before Newcastle were bought out, Crystal Palace and all of these sort of Norwich fans and whoever else, we one day want to be brought out by a billionaire, trillionaire, whatever. Yeah. Now, that doesn't even matter anymore.
Well, it does a bit. I mean, we've got a Palace fan at the table, right? And Newcastle and Palace were at similar places in the Premier League before the takeover. You guys have still got a Bruno Guimaraes, an Isak, a
Botman.
Tonali.
And do you know
a
what's
Botman,
happening?
who-
We're now being told we have to sell them all because we can't,
Well,
because
yeah.
we're in so much debt because we haven't been able to fudge the sponsorships in order to pretend like we are a club that deserves. So that is even temporary.
I guess the complicated thing with you guys is it's almost like they've changed the rules just after you got the
us.
money. Just
Yeah.
after
Yeah,
you
yeah, yeah,
paid.
yeah, just after you got the money, yeah.
It's still hard to know because really. We're talking that now, like that January transfer window that just happened is the deadest transfer window that's ever happened in this world. Like they must have had to furlough the Sky reporters on deadline day because there's no one there. There's no one there to poke
your
them in the
point-
ear with a dildo at the
But
grounds this year.
You were just about to say it, but at least you've had that and then you've accepted. But now we're going to have to sell them. If Palace,
They've had
The
so
final
many
pass.
chances.
No final pass.
No, that's a poor touch.
yeah,
though,
man.
man.
I
It's a little
dunno.
bit quick for him. If Palace get bought out now, Palace will look at what Newcastle are in the situation of doing, how we're in a FFP situation where we're going to have to sell players, and they're probably going to be really sensible about it. And
Yeah.
there will be a bit of progress.
Even
but not
more,
much.
but even that's what I'm saying.
Progress has to be in relation to the amount of money the club make. It's nothing to do with the owners anymore. They've killed that.
Well, I guess what you do, like the basic rules, and Josh, I'll defer to Dictionary Corner on this at some point.
Susie.
Thanks, Susie. It's essentially £105 million a summer you can spend, right? That's kind
That's
of
how much
it.
you can lose.
That's how much you can lose. So I guess from a Palace fan, and I'm speaking a lot on your behalf right now, right?
Thank you for that, bro. It was like the white man talk for me.
Oh God.
I knew you'd say that. But like, you don't get 105 million quid every summer now.
Yeah.
So at least you get that. Do you know,
Yeah,
do you know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
There's a lot of clubs in the league who would look at Newcastle and go, I get that you've not been able to do the Robinho Man City madness that you thought you would, and it is crazy that the rules have only come in halfway through you guys trying to do what you're trying to do. But there's a lot of clubs in the league who don't have that 105 million quid.
I'm not disputing that it's better than what it was, but the point is it's not what it could be, and it's not even close to that. So
Yeah, no,
before,
it's not-
it was
it's-
you are
it's-
going to get a trophy. Now there is fucking no guarantee of anything for Newcastle.
Yeah.
At all. And if anything,
You have
all
to play it smart.
It's going to take a long time. And now because to be honest with you, I just wanted to know we're going to win a fucking trophy in my life.
You know the interesting
That's
thing
all
about the
I wanted.
trophy thing, and it's interesting watching.
That's why I take Mourinho, because I'm like, that motherfucker wins you a trophy.
So I think my little theory. I think a lot of.
Oh my God, Man United again. It's mad watching Man United win games week in, week out, and they're playing so shit, man. It's unbelievable.
A lot of upper mid-level Premier League clubs are going to get trophies that they haven't had in a long time soon because of that Europa Conference League thing. Aston Villa, who we're watching right now, who, they're cutting through Man United at will, but they can't finish, right? And they're probably missing a couple of players, blah, 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 blah. But part of the problem for Villa this season, they're competing in two competitions, which they've never had to do before, right? I would put a house on this team winning the Europa Conference League with Emery at the helm, who's won a lot of European tournaments. They've got so much more money. They've got such more expensive players than any other team in that tournament. And whoever qualifies for Conference League, whoever finishes 7th this season, which Brian may well be Newcastle.
Oh, fuck off. I don't want that shit.
Well, mate, you want a trophy?
You want a trophy?
You want a trophy?
You would celebrate your heart out
No,
if you won a trophy.
You
would
know,
celebrate,
it would
bro.
low-key annoy me. It would annoy me.
Is it worse? Is it worse than not having one?
No, it is. It is. I'll tell you why. Because 1955, I think it was, when we last won a fucking proper trophy. For our first one to be back, to be that, I want it to be an FA Cup. Or a Europa League would be great, because it does have some prestige.
West Ham loved it.
I'd quite like one.
West Ham
As a
loved
Chelsea
it.
fan, I'd quite like
West
one.
Ham,
You
Jack,
fucking
mate.
cheeky
Well, I
bastard.
never. Do you know what? Yeah,
You
I
loved
never.
it.
Sat there with two Champions League going, I quite like it.
When we sing, we've won it. Oh, I don't join in no more.
No.
Don't join in.
So
Not
good.
now that Conference League's there. Let me get relegated, win the Johnson's Paint Trophy, and then I'll join back in.
It's not that I don't want the Conference League. I want an FA Cup or something legit.
Yeah.
And then if we win that, I'm like, oh yeah, it's another one, great. But like, I don't know. I'd much rather it be an FA Cup. to be
Mate,
honest.
as the seasons
Oh my
go
God.
on, I'll tell you now, as the seasons go on, and we start to see the winners' names on that Conference League trophy,
Yeah,
I'm telling you, in a
it'll hold
decade,
more
that'd
weight,
be a. I ain't saying it's going to be a Champions League, but it'd be a little
hold
bit more
more
of a
weight,
legit.
yeah.
Because I can remember a time, even like. You know when Fulham got to the Europa League final, it was a bit like it was a big deal for
UEFA
them,
Cup.
but it was a bit like you know what I mean. Whereas it's now, it's like Europa League's decent,
But
man.
I guarantee now in 10 years' time, every name on that trophy will be English. Every time.
reckon?
Yeah, but what's your point? Is your point that we shouldn't be that we shouldn't be right up there?
This was
Are you
tough
saying that the
on
Premier
me.
League's money is
my
not fair?
point? My point is that a 7th placed English team is better than every equivalent in Europe.
Yeah, but we've run our league better. Like we've generated more income.
I'm not saying it's
for right- for the
unfair.
right
I'm not
reasons.
saying it's
Yeah,
unfair, but I'm just saying it's going to look a bit daft because it's always going to be a West Ham. Brighton will probably get one. Newcastle will likely get one. Do you know what I mean? You'll get one at some. Every team around that level in England will win the Europa Conference League in the next 10 years. I guarantee it. And if you're a Villa fan right now, like you're booking the day off for the trophy parade already because they will win that Conference League. I mean, I'll stick money on it today. 50 quid.
Do it.
Go on, we'll have a score.
have a
Let's
bet.
have a score. Let's have a score.
We'll have
Go
a
on.
score now. I think they'll do it.
I think they'll do it too. So who's paying?
I'd say if they don't win it, I'll get the Emery haircut done. I'll get the slick back Emery
Yeah.
cut
I fucking would love
for the
that.
first kickoff of the season next year.
Fuck me, I'd pay to see.
There he is, old Southgate.
Oh, he's
back
at the gate.
his old stomping
Why is he
ground.
not? Why is he not in Holland?
Oh yeah. He's taken the time off of
They played
stalking
yesterday.
Jordan Henderson. Actually, the rumours are he will stay on now. 4 more years of Southgate.
Can you imagine?
How can you make that decision before even seeing how this tournament goes? Like, if we go out in the groups, I know it's
They
not
love
likely
him.
we will, but
The FA love him. Like, don't
The
they?
FA are just
he
like-
is an FA's wet dream.
He's not a pedo. Let's keep him.
Yeah.
Like the low standards of the FA
He
are
has not
mental.
pedoed anyone yet.
Yeah. We did actually get a complaint from his son once about this bashing of him on the show. Personally, I do want to know what you think about, because some people are really pro Southgate because they're like, never let England down. We, in context, we did really well. But, I think most people accept that the players we have now are right up there with the best assembly of squad players we could get in international football for a long, long time. Watching Harry Kane smashing it in the Bundesliga, even if they are second. Jude Bellingham, top goal scorer in La Liga. And the level of talent just throughout that squad. Surely we should be expecting to win this. And with
No,
him,
you're right.
I don't know if I feel like we can with him.
The
I really
reason
don't.
why is because I never watch England where we play like we can win. We always play not to lose or play to get a
Exactly.
result. We don't play like the game against Italy in the Euros. I will never forgive Southgate for that, and I was backing Southgate to that. But you go 1-0 up, I'm thinking, we're gonna batter these.
Yeah.
And then we just sat back
We
for
should
the whole time.
We should have battered them.
Yeah, we just
should've.
sat back, and then they get playing. Before you know it, they're back in the game, and they obviously got quality players. But I think if we go with the mentality like play our best players, play attacking players, we'll win easy.
Yeah, but if we're 2-3 up by the time they get back in that game, it's too late. Damage is done. Then we can sit back and defend.
Yeah, exactly.
I think you can be somewhere in the middle, because I'm not like Southgate out. I don't love
Yeah,
him.
me
I don't
too, yeah,
hate
me
him.
too, yeah.
I think Southgate's done a good job, man.
Surely it's in.
Oh
Wow.
my
It's
god!
I can't believe the state of this. Like,
Look at that,
Look
man.
at that. Shimmy.
Shimmy.
Love it.
Look at that. Don't
Nice.
Hey, by the way, they deserve that.
bro, they deserve about 4.
100%.
Like,
They deserve that.
but this is the thing. Against West Ham, it was exactly the same last week. They just couldn't stick the ball in.
They
the
got to go on and win this now.
Oh, they have.
They need to go on and win
that
this.
stadium will be rocking now.
Mate, I can't, like, Man United were really aggressive in that first 5-10 minutes. And then they've just done nothing since the goal. They've invited them on.
I tell you what, I cannot believe they have just stolen Chelsea's badge like that. I know this is old news, but that is awful, isn't it? That's so bad, that Villa badge. Have you seen
finish.
it?
It's mad.
It is a carbon copy of the Chelsea badge.
And they're well higher than you in the league.
Yeah,
that must
exactly.
really piss
How's
you
this
off.
first one not gone in though? Oh,
Because it's elite goalkeeping.
Mate,
That's
oh,
why.
no, what a guy.
that's a good finish though.
I love he always does that, Anana, doesn't he? After the goal goes in, it's like some sort of
Yeah.
claim. What are you claiming for?
Yeah.
He leaves his hand up there just to
Gotta be
show on the
something.
replay.
Is he doing the shimmy too or no?
I'm not gonna lie. That is one of my favourite celebrations of the Premier League.
He
this season.
literally does a Francis Ngannou. When Francis Ngannou dropped Tyson Fury, did the exact same shit over his dead body. Well, he did get up, bless him. But, yeah.
That is a brilliant celebration.
Yeah.
I haven't seen anything like that. Love it.
He weren't feeling it.
Let's see how Man United respond, because they've been so flat since they scored, in my opinion.
But it's kind of ironic that Andrew's talking about the England-Italy game where England scored first and then just fucking fell asleep.
Identical.
And it's exactly the same what Man United have done today.
Literally.
If we were going to sack him, then lads, if
Yeah.
he was gone and you were replacing someone to come in for the Euros,
Yeah.
I've
Who
had
would you
my
want?
say.
I'll try to do what the Ivory Coast do and try and learn a manager and get Pep in. Try and learn him in for that
Mate,
summer.
I'll tell you what though, if we do go and win this, I know Southgate will get the credit, but Pep's played a massive hand in it anyway. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like-
in what way?
I thought Craig weren't here
Calvin
today. What's
Phillips.
going on?
Calvin Phillips, mate.
No, but I just think like not just in terms of the players that are playing in the England, like not just the John Stoneses of the world and whatnot, just in terms of like the standard of
Standard
the
of
league
football,
as a
yeah,
result of Pep
Pep
Guardiola
Guardiola,
being in there and the standard we've elevated them to. Carl Walker, John Stones, there are key players that are in there. Jack Grealish, you don't know whether he's going to be in the team or not.
Calvin
but,
Phillips.
But you're just saying the standard of English football raised because of him.
Yeah, I would say.
But
yeah.
then the irony, and I'm not disagreeing with Johnny. The irony to that is our two best players don't play in the Premier League anymore. Bellingham and Kane.
Yeah.
For me, they're the two first names on the team sheet.
100%.
I mean,
And I'd play.
free.
I'd play.
Henderson,
yeah.
you can chuck him in there.
oh, fuck
Well,
off.
but you know he's going to play,
He will
Brian.
play.
You know
He
he's
will.
going.
He'll be in the squads.
I guarantee
So
he starts.
who's your midfield three?
I love this.
My midfield three. Okay. No, I've got
So
an
who's the
answer.
third guy?
Yeah. So we're all saying like Declan Rice at the base,
Yeah.
Bellingham at the
Yeah.
top. My third guy, Curtis Jones.
I'm going with Thing. You know, I'm either going
Thing, yeah?
Foden or Madison.
Sounds a great idea.
Foden or Madison? Wow.
I'm going Foden or Madison.
But
don't
then
think
do you
they're
not think
attacking
we're
enough.
trying to do a bit more, like, bit too much
Too
the
attacking.
Sven Goran Eriksson style, where you're putting a player there because he's a good player, but it's not ideally his position.
That's not-
I'm going-
like-
No, but
I'm going
you wouldn't play
Trent.
2 10s. You wouldn't play
Trent.
2 10s.
No, because Bellingham's not
Bellingham's an 8. Is an 8.
Well,
eight
he's
and a half.
basically a 9
I
at Madrid,
think
like-
that the pool of players you would say would fall into being a natural in that position would be a Curtis Jones, maybe a Conor Gallagher, maybe Kobe Mainu. So I'd maybe say Kobe Mainu.
Is it?
You'd start Kirby Mainoo.
Play free.
Start Mainoo.
Mate,
I really like him,
Calvin
by the
Phillips
way.
has got more chance of starting than Kobe Mainoo.
He's got more chance. That doesn't mean it's right.
No, but it's what we're doing, right?
So, yeah,
So okay. So would you call?
No, I'd go Gallagher.
Garnacho.
Gallagher.
Garnacho!
That's what I mean.
Should have scored. He did everything right apart from the finish. That was good for him. Like,
Eze, I mean, he's had caps. He has had caps.
Wow.
He has had caps now.
Yeah, what a baller that guy is.
Can we say?
Yeah, he's my cousin. Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, sick.
Oh, crazy. I'll put him in.
I mean, I
Yeah, I
genuinely.
know. That's kind of shit.
Could have brought
That's
some
kind of
merch
shit that
along
you
with
didn't,
you.
actually. That's kind of fucked that you didn't put your cousin in the team.
It's fine. I'll put him in straight away, bro.
Buy shit Christmas presents.
It is an awkward one though because I don't think we have that one player screaming like Kobe Mainoo is playing well generally, but like putting a kid in that level of responsibility for the same reason I'd worry about putting Lewis Miley in there. Like young players lose their position more than experienced.
Yeah,
pros
no, I
do.
hear that.
They just do.
So who is the standout?
But I like.
If not just who we picked.
I want to
then,
see
if
Foden.
that,
I
by
want to
that
see
logic,
Foden
like,
in a 10.
I've always thought that.
I
way
would
with
argue
Foden.
it's an 8 that's up for grabs.
what
but not
formation
a
are you
10.
playing?
Like,
Yeah, but
I
do
would
you-
argue
I'm playing
in our
4-3-3.
setup.
Do you not think Drew plays in the 8?
Jude right now for Real
Right
Madrid
now
is
he's a
bombing.
nine.
Real
Right now
Madrid,
he's a 9.
he's yeah.
If
Doesn't
we're,
mean
if we're
that's where you
playing
should
players
play.
in their strong positions, Jude is all
No,
over
no,
the
I would say if you look
I
at the
think-
system
I
that
think
we
Jude
set
plays in
up
the 8.
with as a national team, I would say that the position that is up for grabs is an 8.
Agreed.
Agree.
So if
Wow,
we're going
I
an
disagree
8,
with that. So I
if
would've
we're going an 8, then I think we're looking at, as I say, maybe Conor Gallagher, Curtis Jones, Mainu.
I think Jones stands out because I think positional fit, but also, mate, ask any Liverpool fan. He's been their best midfielder this season. They're going to win 2 trophies.
Ask any Liverpool fan, they'll put Trent in that position over Curtis Jones, 100%.
I would have Trent there.
I like
but
it.
I just think it's unrealistic.
Surely Villa have got to
Finish.
score. Oh, they fucked it again.
He just
man.
hasn't done it enough, Josh. Trent hasn't done it enough.
Mate, do you know what though? For England, like when he's played in that position, he has looked pretty good.
No, I know, but
He has
I
looked,
can't
and
lie,
also when you
Trent though is a baller.
He is a
Start
baller.
Trent, don't you? I'm not saying I wouldn't.
no, you
start
wouldn't.
him.
Where,
you
where,
wouldn't.
where,
You
where?
wouldn't start him at
He's
right
not
back.
going to start
You
though,
wouldn't.
for right
Where
back.
would
Start.
he-
Why
where
wouldn't I
would he
start him at
start
right
him?
back?
Because Kyle Walker's
Carl
starting.
Walker's going to play.
By the way,
Guarantee.
Carl,
Or Trippier.
by the way, Carl Walker, one of the goats, man. Man had a whole scandal in that, still putting out 8 out of 10. I love that, bro.
I know,
But
mate.
enough about the
Nothing,
women.
nothing affects him. Nothing affects
No,
his
no,
performance,
I
bro.
agree, mate. Rashford can't play with a hangover.
Yeah.
Fucking Carl
Yeah,
Walker
no.
plays with a second family, mate. He's unbelievable.
Legend.
If anything, it's more motivation because he needs the money.
But, yeah.
No, what I would say is Trent for
Never
me.
exposed himself on the pitch.
Trent is the best footballer I've heard named so far in terms of just and like you'd think.
Well, you play him in the
I,
eight.
the eight,
normally, I hate playing players out of position, but Trent there's a reason why he's breaking records from with assists from right back, right? He can do everything. If anything, I think we've been holding him back as a right back in a way. Like, I could easily have seen him as a right-sided central midfielder in that David Beckham for Real Madrid role. I've always thought he was made for that, and actually it exposes him less as a fullback. So I wouldn't have a problem with
But
that.
it goes against
I'll go with
everything
that.
that Southgate
Okay.
stands for. Having like,
Yeah.
Southgate is a butter passer.
He's a missionary
man.
type of guy.
That is what he is. If he orders a curry, he'll have a butter chicken and he'll probably pour some milk in it still.
I know
Like,
what you mean.
Southgate
He's
is
safe.
not.
He's a safety man.
He would never ever do that.
Brian,
He's just way too.
what's your call? Who's your third midfielder for England?
Third midfielder, Trent.
Yeah, but if you would play Trent in the 8, why wouldn't you play Jude in the 8 and play a Madison or a Foden? in the 10?
Because Jude is too effective as a 10.
He's
isn't
the
he?
best player in the world. You just have to you just literally have to sit him down for England and go, whatever the fuck you've been doing in Spain, just do that.
I understand
I'm not
what you.
playing the 10.
I understand what you're saying, yeah. But I just think Jude. When I look at Jude, he's the kind of player where I just look at. I don't even know what he's great at. He's just a sick footballer.
Scoring goals.
He's just a
But you know,
baller.
you know that Winter
balls
World
out.
Cup just gone. He sort of did play in that position we're saying about, and I would argue, as good as he was, we didn't really see the best out of him. We didn't
Because he was playing in the 8.
We
Yeah,
didn't
that's what
see
you're
these
saying.
Real
So
Madrid
you're saying if he
levels.
plays a bit higher.
I think you play him in the 10.
Well, I think there was one game where we did see the best. I think was it Colombia where Henderson started of all people, and I thought that was his best game because he had Henderson and
no,
Rice
that was
with
the Senegal.
Senegal.
Yeah,
That's
Because he was
sorry,
allowed to bomb forward.
He was allowed to bomb forward because he had
The,
Henderson.
I hear
the
what you're
stats, he's got 16 goals in 21 games for Real Madrid.
Mad.
So let him play as that 10. And
Well, he plays at the tip of a diamond for Madrid.
Exactly.
So yeah, it's 10 really, isn't it? So yeah,
I think if you got 2 3/8s with Trent as a sort of the deeper one of those, and you have Bellingham bombing on, arriving late into the box, that is the way to go. You don't actually, and I don't think Southgate will do. I don't think Southgate will play like an out and out number 10. If you look at the way that he plays football, he will never do that.
No, yeah.
He
That's what
doesn't
you're saying.
favour Foden. He doesn't favour Madison.
he doesn't like players who take risks at all.
He doesn't like those sort of
I
Gaza-esque
just don't
sort
see
of
how
mercurial talents.
Madison, the way he's playing, he would.
Well, the thing is, we've
He
seen.
would be so
He
good.
just unlocks so much in that.
Could
in a
you play
tournament
Madison
like
off the
that.
left?
Well, he's tried that.
Yeah,
Southgate tried that. It
yeah.
doesn't work.
It don't work, bro. And I don't even like Foden off the left because at City it's different because the players are so interchangeable. In England, they're not. That's why Saka comes in the team and does really well.
Yeah, because he's just an out and out.
Yeah. That's why
I
he
think
came
we have
in.
to accept that Southgate is not going to take many chances, and it is going to come down to 1 or 2 players who can play in that role.
He'll play.
Bellingham will be there, Rice will be there, and it's one other guy.
It's going to be Calvin Phillips.
Yeah,
Oh, it'd be awful.
it probably
God.
will.
He's
I'm
had
not-
a-
No, but
I'm
it will. He will start.
He has
I-
had
I-
a stinker since moving to West Ham.
Bro, you
hasn't
can't stop losing, man.
Yeah, it'll be Henderson, I think.
He's
I
getting
think it'll be
hammered.
Oh, Henderson.
Henson hasn't started recently. Like,
For-
I'd play Barkley over
For
Henderson.
Ajax.
No,
I
for-
think.
for England.
You're riding this Barkley
Yeah,
train,
yeah,
though, bro. No, but I agree. I play Barkley.
Yeah.
over Henderson.
Well, in the front three for England, then we know it's going to be Kane up top and Saka on the right. Who's your left winger for England?
I've said it a few times now, and now I've started saying this. I'm like warming to the idea, but I
Who's
don't
it,
know
Ross
whether
Barkley?
I sound crazy. I would go No. He might not even be on the plane, the player I'm about to say now. Something about having Anthony Gordon over on that other side. So going Saka, Kane, Gordon.
He's got to
got to score
that.
Saka, Kane, Gordon really excites me.
Gordon, yeah?
After watching Gordon for Newcastle this season on that left side, I don't see why any player should start over him on the
Really?
If you was a defence, would that not scare the life out of you?
Part of the
Saka,
reason is
Kane,
that
Gordon.
the thing that I know.
I think
Gord-
Rashford will start there.
I know Gordon's a bit of he's got a bit of aggression to
I'm
his
not saying
game.
he should, but I think
One at a time, lads. I'm thinking that for me, Gordon, he does the off-the-ball running that Rashford consistently hasn't done this season. His numbers on the ball have been consistently better than Rashford. Rashford is actually more predictable than Gordon this season. Like everything I'm watching Gordon do is better than Rashford.
Well, I think it's
He's faster than him. He's crosses. He's assists. Like there's not a thing that Rashford's got him on right
It
now.
suits the balance of that front three as well, because I think both Saka and Kane like to be playmakers. So I think if you've got a left winger who goes behind,
Yep.
it suits what they want to do.
I think if you haven't been watching Newcastle a lot this season and you've watched Rashford for his whole career, you'll think I'm mental because Rashford's talent level is outrageous on his day. But this season, this is the first proper goal Gordon's ever had with a settled side, consistently good coaching. Like we all know what Everton's been like for the last few years. Like he's delivering in every game.
And if you say that about exactly what you said there about having a runner in behind, Foden doesn't do that, really.
No.
Grealish doesn't do that, really. Rashford, yeah, I accept, but obviously when you're looking at the form, it's like...
Look at that goal he scored against Man City, right? We all look at the technique of Foden, and look, Foden's a better footballer with the ball at his feet than probably any player other than Bellingham in that team, arguably. But Gordon has it as well as the physical side of the game, and is the tenacity.
I would, on the left, I would definitely play Gordon over Foden. I don't think Foden does well as a front three in England because England are so stiff in their positions, where City is calm because they just interchange. So, yeah.
Imagine Gordon, Saka, Kane and Bellingham as a front four. That is fucking terrifying.
Physically
Physically
that's
as well, yeah.
Yeah. They've got everything as a
And then
four.
Kane dropping in.
I look at Rashford as just a weak link outside of Gordon. I think Rashford would let you down.
So would anyone argue, are we going with Gordon there, or would anyone argue they would rather have someone else?
I think a lot. It's
that
hard.
position just doesn't stand out to me. So if you went Gordon, I wouldn't be crazy. If someone said Rashford, I wouldn't be.
It's hard because I agree with all the theory of all of what you've said, and I've added to it. But I still just think Foden's such a good footballer. You have to put him on the pitch.
No, I agree.
What's Foden's best position?
I don't know.
There you go.
Mate,
And that's why he's in trouble because he hasn't managed to do that yet at City.
Well, Brian, what's Bernardo Silva's best position?
I mean, an 8.
There you go. Well,
Aston Villa breaking here.
Come on,
Everyone's getting the ball stuck in their feet, man.
Man United have
the
so lucky
clinicalness
here.
in
This
front
is
of
a-
goal today
glad they
from
brought it
both
on.
sides has just been poor.
I see Bernardo and Foden as very similar, and I think it completely leads to Andrew's point of being like, are they midfielders? Are they wingers? Do they just fit into Pep's system? I watched Bernardo Silva play left back against.
So where would you
Arsenal
play
last
him?
year. Who, Foden? Or what, for England?
I would love
Yeah?
to see. I would
Look
love,
at you asking
No,
questions.
it's true.
What, for England? What? On the cup? What, with Gareth Southgate? Yeah, mate. Where would you play him?
No, honestly, it's a good question. 'Cause I would love to see
On a football field?
What, for England?
Where would you play him?
I would just love to see Foden in a 10
Tough
for
crowd.
England.
Yeah.
But when you got Bellingham, it's got
not
to be
happening,
Bellingham.
is it?
I guess what I'd say is what I'd like for England is if you could play Foden and Saka either side of Kane, and they could swap around a bit, and they could move around a bit, and it could be a bit more flow. But what I do think you'd need is a left back who goes outside of him, because you don't want Foden hugging a touchline, and we know it's going to be Kieran Trippier.
Oh, well, if we can't agree, we'll just stop Barkley there.
I
Stick a pin in it.
I
There
can't
is an
argue
argument
against
for Cole Palmer.
Foden because he's such a good footballer.
Yeah.
I just don't think. I have a feeling that Southgate. I don't know if he likes him enough. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I think those players who are.
Foden, Trent, there's a few like that. You just don't feel like Southgate.
He just doesn't like them, right?
Just don't
And
like
Maddison as well.
Yeah, for the
Maddison's
same
like-
reason, Madison's another one. I just feel like Gordon is more of a reliable guy that Southgate will take to. But then again, I look at Gordon's tenacity, and I look at him, and I think Sir Alex Ferguson would have fucking loved you. You're a Fergie player. But Southgate, I don't know. I have no idea what he'll make of him.
Do you think that he'll take Gordon?
If he doesn't, he wants his fucking head looked at.
But
What more does he do?
But do you actually think he'll take him?
I'd be, he has to. I mean, that would be meant.
What are the other options out there? Because you got Rashford.
Grealish.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
got
fuck me.
Jared Bowen.
Well, Jared Bowen, by the way, they're going to be West Ham fans screaming at their screen right now,
Stats-wise.
being like, stats-wise, he's the best goal scorer out of all of the players you're talking about.
I mean, he's
But
in the squad already now. Like at the
I
last
don't have a
squad he was
problem with
there.
Bowen, but I think Bowen's position.
he's a right winger, isn't
Yeah,
he?
Cole Palmer's going?
Sterling.
I don't know if
Sterling?
Cole Palmer goes, but I think that
Cole
would be
Palmer
mad.
has to go,
I don't know
though.
if he goes.
Palmer
I don't
goes.
think Southgate picks him.
Great penalty taker.
Go on, Josh, who's your pick? Left winger for England?
I probably can I give what I think Southgate would do, or do you want my pick?
No, I
'Cause
want
if it
your
was
pick.
if it
I
was-
want your pick. Josh, fucking Brian
that.
got me. Brian got me with that shit.
If it
You're
was
not
my
getting out of
pick,
this.
if it was my pick, I probably would go Foden. If it was Southgate's pick, I think he would probably go with Grealish.
I think you might be right, yeah.
Fucking hell.
But then even
Why are you
Grealish
saying
has
that?
been a bit
Grealish
funny
is
with.
sick, bro.
No, but he's not playing.
Gordon's goals and assists.
Grealish is pretty good, though.
It's 7 goals, 5 assists in 22. So it's
Who's that?
Gordon. So it's 7 goals, 5 assists. So it's 12 goal contributions in 22 games for Newcastle. And to be fair, it's
And
been a
Newcastle
pretty
have-
difficult
yeah, haven't
season.
been great, yeah.
And there's been so you watched him. He scored against Arsenal, scored against Man United, scored against Man City. He's a big game player, Gordon, and he has this thing that when he does score, he's got that arrogance of like, yeah, fucking course I scored
against Chelsea, didn't
and that's like I'm looking at him going, you have all the makings of a top player here, and if anything. My worry with Newcastle is, are we big enough for you in the future?
Really?
Because I think he is going to the top.
Do you know who he suits? He suits
I'm
Liverpool.
going to say it, right?
He suits
He does
Liverpool.
suit
Right the way, the very top.
Right to the
right? In the words of Harry Redknapp.
There's a good reason he'll never play for Liverpool, but he suits Liverpool. Do you know what I mean? The way he
Mate,
plays
he's exactly
football.
like a
Yeah.
top player, for sure.
So I know everything you're saying about.
You could say Foden's just a better footballer. I can't argue with that.
But this is, I think this is what England do wrong now. I think what I'm saying is what England
Square
do wrong.
pegs, round hole.
Exactly. I think you just go, well, just put the best players on the pitch. Whereas actually, I think you should do a system that functions.
That's what Sven Goran Eriksson religiously cost us for, right? Like,
playing Scholes
like
left
consistently trying to play Scholes on the left, which was fucking mental.
If we're going on our best players, Tony should be up front with Kane, shouldn't he? Should be a two up top.
Ooh, I haven't.
If you're going for the best players,
Tony never played for England, isn't it?
Yeah.
Come on, man.
If you're going with putting the best player, you have to just do whatever better.
You know when we say that thing, you know when we say that thing about Sven Goran Eriksson putting Scholes left mid. Can anyone name a standout left mid from that time?
Trevor Sinclair.
Or Joe Cole? Joe Cole?
I think was Sinclair right winger who played.
He played at left mid though.
Yeah, it
I
wasn't.
don't know. I was looking at a Euro 2004 thing the other day. I was looking at the bench and I was looking at it with Scholes and I was thinking, well, there's not really anyone else there.
Could you have played Ashley Cole at left mid?
But mate, can we focus on today's problem?
Sorry.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The 2004 is done now. It's done, yeah.
It's
Just let it go, right? It was a gold generation and it fucked it.
Is no one saying Rashford then? No one would start Rashford.
No. If someone said Rashford, I wouldn't even be mad.
The only thing I wouldn't argue with Rashford because of we'll bring the form thing to it, but actually, if you had read out some stats from Rashford before that Winter World Cup, they were pretty shit. And then he went there, and that kick-started the good form, didn't it? He had a really good tournament all of a sudden.
Okay.
So
we'll go one at a time. Gordon.
Yeah, go on, Gordon.
Really?
I'll go with you.
for England,
Yeah, no. Look,
England.
I'm going to say this is something that people, when they talk about football on the internet, needs to be better at doing is changing their minds. Gordon, you convinced me.
I'm going Grealish.
Oh,
Josh?
I thought you were going to go Foden. I'm going to go Foden.
Fair play. 3-1.
No, but Gordon is a good shot. To be
Gordon.
fair, I never thought about Gordon until you just brought it
Mate,
up.
I'm not going to lie though, guys. He won't be on the plane. So this whole debate is irrelevant.
Mate, if he's
He
not
will
on
not
that
be on the
fucking
plane.
plane, that
Nah,
is a
he'll be on the
fucking
plane, sure.
disgrace.
He won't be on the plane.
Hello.
Disgrace.
Okay. So who's he displacing then? So is Jared Bowen not in the squad? Is Rashford not in the squad? Is Grealish not in the squad?
Mate, if
He should go
Grealish
over
goes
Bowen.
ahead of him.
He should go over Bowen.
Really?
Yeah.
Mate,
Despite
have you seen Bowen's
Don't care.
goals?
Don't care. He should go over Bowen. He should go at the moment over Grealish.
Yeah, I agree.
Grealish is in the squad. I don't think you.
No, but you've asked the question, though.
Yeah,
Like,
no.
who should he
but
go
he's
over?
going though.
Yeah.
Grealish is going.
No, but this is Joey's pick. Though.
We're trying to
I would
work.
have him over Bowen. I would have him over Grealish. At the moment, I'd have him over Rashford.
There you go.
I don't care about the form. I want to go and win the
Yeah,
tournament.
we can't work out what Gareth Southgate's logic's going to be, can we? I mean, fuck me. God help we all.
I mean, actually, it's pretty easy to work out.
Man United! Fuck me, they both look alike.
Brian, you could have had him. You could have had him.
Oh,
improved.
The man that Ten Hag improved.
Ten Hag
Hag,
improved
boy.
Tell you what. And do you know what? Two weeks in a row, like we've said, they've played absolutely shite.
Let me not lie. Aston Villa, you deserve this.
Oh, yeah.
You deserve this.
They've been asking for it, to be fair.
I know it sounded silly before the game, but if they do win this, it's on. They could 100% get.
Mate, I can't believe it isn't, but you know what? They've played absolutely shite. It should be about 5-2 at least to Villa. But this exact same thing keeps happening. That's what happens when you've got like top players in terms of ball striking. But the system, the formation, it speaks for itself, mate.
Nice.
This has not been working.
Kobe Mainoo's little bit of footwork there. Look at that. I'd have done that.
This is what you call papering over cracks, lads. It's been happening.
These are the two players Ten Hag has improved. Dallo with a cross.
Yeah,
And
there his boys.
There's his boys.
Dallo and McTominay, man.
I've got to say, McTominay, like, as a centre midfielder, don't rate him at all. But in the box, he's a fucking nightmare.
Yeah.
He's a striker anyway. He grew up playing.
He should still be that. He's just he's not good enough to be a Premier League striker, like, in terms of week in, week out. But, like, when I watch him play, I'm like, I don't want you as a centre midfielder. I want you as like
in the box.
Like you know where Steven Gerrard would play really far forward at times?
yeah.
Just do that all the time.
Do you reckon McTominay leaves in the summer? Do you reckon, like, with the new regime change, like, they get rid of him and he ends up being an out-and-out star every week for a top 10 club?
Can we talk actually about Villa though? Because for me, we're watching a problem develop here in real time. 3 games in a row now at Villa Park. We watched Chelsea, Newcastle beat them. To be fair, they played far better in this game than they did against Newcastle. Newcastle were dominant over them. They've actually been the dominant side here.
For periods.
But for the majority of it.
Yeah.
You know,
Pretty much all the second
if
half.
we're talking about the first 10, 15 minutes, Man United, and this goal that's just happened, outside of that, Man United have not dominated this, in my opinion. But again, they're losing the third game in a row at home. Like that's the wheels falling off by it, by their standards so far this season.
Yeah, and I don't want to sound smug, but I did say this. We
said at the start of the
we were
season.
sat around this table, and I remember Craig and everyone going, "He's better than Arteta. Why would you want Arteta instead of Emery?" This is why. This is what happened.
No, you said it will tail off in the second half of the season.
And it's begun now, and. The thing is, you do have to keep saying with Villa, they've got injuries. They have got and it's not just like injuries. They're down to 4th and 5th choice centre back. So,
but they've got the rest.
No, but
of their team.
I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying, Jacob. But today in this game, in particular, the injuries have not come into play because they've had so many chances that they should have put this game to bed.
But this was the issue when he was at Arsenal, was that they didn't have like he was never a creative enough manager. He was never good enough at creating really good chances for forwards. It was the same issue at PSG why the forwards there didn't like him. And it's like today, like
it is a very repetitive basic.
We should say there've been 2 balls that have fucking just hit Onana in the stomach, and if they go anywhere else, they're 2 goals.
2.36 expected goals for Villa,
and that's those
3 for United.
That's those 2.
There you go.
That's those 2. But
14 shots, 8 on target for Villa. I mean, they've been knocking.
Have they just been unlucky today?
I think they've been unlucky today.
I think
unlucky, but also you've got to finish
kinda
those
poor,
chances,
yeah,
haven't you?
kinda poor,
You've
yeah.
got to finish them.
I would say with the ease they've cut through Man United with at times in this second half, though, and probably best part of 10 minutes to go, Villa still just need to be pushing everything forward to getting an equaliser here. And
I think
it's not beyond the realms of possibility that happens. And actually, if the game finishes 2-2, you probably end up going, about fair.
Yeah.
One team better of it,
I
one
agree.
team were a little bit more clinical.
The thing, I guess the thing that I remember at Arsenal.
There you go. There you go. Oh.
I remember at Arsenal we had a thing where we'd get it in the box, we did the same fucking thing every time. It'd be Iwobi on the left-hand side. He would then sort of sneak it back to Kolasinac, who was our left wing-back. I don't know if you remember that guy. He's built like a tank. And then he'd just whack it across the 6-yard box. That was the only thing we could do in the box. And the one thing watching Villa today that I've kind of got a bit of PTSD, they've got the ball into the box really well, but then they just don't know what to do. The amount of times they've got into good positions in the box, but then it's like they don't know how to feed the striker well enough.
Do you not think that's a personnel change though? If they had someone like Tony up top, they probably score 3 goals today. They probably do.
Yeah, but I hear what you're saying, but like they should have just scored those chances.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like sometimes I feel like we overanalyze a game.
No, I hear you. But then this is part of a trend over the course of the last month or so where I dare say there have been plenty of games where they haven't had 2.5 XG and they're still losing game, and this is the 3rd game at home.
I think we're just seeing this trend with every single team now. Like, what team can you tell me that have lost key players out of their starting 11 and the form hasn't dipped? We said it about Tottenham, said it about Spurs, Chelsea, Newcastle. Every single team have had it. No team in the league have lost those key names.
I feel the difference between Villa though and Spurs, like Spurs was like their entire spine of their team, right? Like I know centre backs are incredibly important to the way they're defending, but like the rest of their team is pretty much there. That's their starting.
The maddest thing about this is I can't sit here and really say outside of the 2 goals what Villa have done wrong. Like they've been dominant. It's been quite easy for them. It's been consistent wave after wave of attack. Where I think Man United deserve a bit of credit for defending fairly well.
Yeah, definitely.
I think the centre backs have done a good job. Outside of that, McTominay did really well for the goal.
They're horrible to watch, though.
Mate, they're absolute garbage. This is the great thing about it is I can maintain my opinion, and people can say, "Oh well, you're wrong. That you've been proved wrong." I'm like, I'm not seeing anything that tells me that this is consistently going to work out well for Ten Hag in the long term. This is good strikers having a good moment. Yep, that can happen. I don't think there's any manager of the top level who wouldn't be able to do better than this right now for Man United.
To play devil's advocate, what he might be doing is keeping them from falling away too far while he does potentially try to work things out. Now, we're saying you've got no confidence that he will get that
Not
right.
at all.
But if I'm a Man United fan and I'm looking at a glass as half full, then I'm going to go, right, in the meantime, while he's figuring things out, at least we're not tumbling down the league to a point where it's unsalvageable once we get there. Because let's have it right, with the position they're in at the table at the moment, if all of a sudden, something happens, they do start playing some good football, then it's like, mate, this is right on. You are in a push for Champions League football. So he's done a good job of keeping them from falling way...
But here's the thing that I've maintained from the get-go is for the amount of money spent by Ten Hag, for the amount of talent in there, which is consistently underplayed by the fan base at Manchester United, as they act like Ten Hag has the hardest job possible when you've got over £1 billion worth of talent in the squad. It's like you're just not seeing things how they really are. You're underplaying the level of talent he has, and you're overstating how good of a coach he is. All anyone has to do is watch them not play week in, week out, and know, like against Everton, like against West Ham, like in this team, you're constantly getting outplayed. And yeah, players will bail you out of those situations. But Manchester United, it's not about trying to get into the Champions League. It's about challenging for the Premier League. It's about winning the Premier League, winning Champions League. And all I'm saying is that Ten Hag might do all right because you've got so much quality, but he's never going to do what he could do. No. I think if you took him out right now and let's say put a big Ange in there or whoever, smashes it up compared to this guy. Yeah. Absolutely smashes it. And let's see what happens, because what is interesting now is with Man United, now that they've got the new football owners, or the guys who are going to take over the football side, he might actually get another season. And they might give him quite a bit more money. So, whether he's the one who's going to be spending that money is another thing. But you might get better players, and it might be to a point where they can do a lot better than what they have been doing. I'm just not seeing anything outside of these good match-winning strikers for them.
I think it's likely that we do see more money invested, but to give Ten Hag the reins over the actual personnel that's brought in at this point, in my mind, would be absolutely mental.
What, over the recruitment strategy?
Yeah,
he's not going to be in charge of that anyway. They've got a whole new director.
At the start of this game, when I sat there and said, "Yeah, but Ten Hag da." If Man United came out here and played great football, dominated, and proved that they were the better side, you could say, "Oh, you're looking stupid now." Everything I said before this game is they won't play good football, but they're a threat, and they will be outplayed, and they'll be the worst team, but they might still win it because they got the. That's exactly what's happened. Like everything I said is exactly what's happened. So, I'm still yet to understand what the appeal is for Manchester United fans in this guy, because you're not dominating games ever. So I mean.
Do they blindly back him though? I don't really go on Twitter, so I don't know. Like, are they that? I've got a couple of mates that are Man United fans, and they're just a bit sort of like.
I don't think a lot of them are like calling for his head.
None of the friends I've got that are Man United fans are calling for his head, but they're also not saying he's the best thing since sliced bread.
Yeah, they're saying they're on the vibe that you're on with Poch.
Yeah, just like.
It's similar, I guess, isn't it? Yeah.
I disagree. I think there's a lot of people saying he is the guy. We believe in the plan long term. This is all the people that I follow anyway, and maybe that's not the case. I don't know, but I'm just not seeing anything to tell me that he's the man to take them to the level that the investment that Ten Hag has had, 400 million in less than 2 years. Should be displaying, but what he is doing is he's getting them in there with a chance of, for me, handing the reins over to a real fucking manager who can then take to that level, because there is talent here. Like, we are seeing that every game. They're scoring goals. They're looking threatening. It's just the build-up play that I'm not impressed by.
Mainu's been really good today. Yeah. He's had some really nice touches.
But let's be honest, mate. I don't know if he's been that good. Like,
I don't think he's had the opportunities.
It's passed him by a lot.
I don't think he's had the opportunities because I don't think they've had enough of the ball.
Exactly.
But and that's the thing where I think United fans do have to look at this and go, "Is this what you want?" Like, do you know what I mean?
Because the thing that I always heard from the Mourinho situation, remember Mourinho got them second and took them into he won the Europa League with them, right? So
which he said it was his greatest achievement. But
and that looks good now.
I mean, that wasn't good enough apparently because the standard of football was bad. I'm like, you think this is good? I don't see it. But, no one knows the club like their own fans do. It's a fair play. They can tell me what they want. But if Mourinho wasn't good enough, why is this good enough when Mourinho was better than this, in my opinion, in terms of the achievement?
I mean, in the last 5 in all competitions, it's 4 wins and 1 draw.
There you go.
I mean, so they've had a few runs like that this season where they've looked very good. I mean, he was manager of the month, wasn't he?
Exactly. But that's not what I'm debating. Winning games, I'm not saying he can't win games. I'm saying what I'm not seeing is a long-term thing clicking together. When I watch Big Ange's team, I'm like, God, when you start adding a few more players,
I know what you're saying.
Fuck me, this has got legs.
We can see
when I watch this, I'm not saying, I'm like, you got dominated. The team weren't good enough to put you to the sword, and your finishing was better than their finishing. That's like going into a punch out with a puncher, and you just happen to have the better punches that day. You're leaving too much up to chance. That's not tactics dominating and all of that.
Do you know what? in the day, though, we would have seen like title challenging teams. And I'm not saying this team is anywhere near the title, right? But you would see title challenging teams. They wouldn't play the best. They would grind out a result, and you'd go, "Oh, well done. That's actually really
on
good."
the
They got
one-off,
point."
on the one-off occasion,
and
they would do
there
that.
wasn't an identity of play.
Yeah, well, week in, week out, when the only time they do get wins, that's the
I don't
that's
even
the
know
story
what, I don't
of
even
the
know
win.
what Josh is on. I don't. And this is just,
No. So,
when we're
so I
talking
think
about title
the point you're
challenge.
trying to make is that the title challenging teams in games that don't go well somehow manage a way to get
It's all
lucky
about the
and
points.
grind out the result.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, in between that sporadic one scenario that you've just said there, in between it is dominant displays where they do play good football. Man United, that's it. It's that or lose.
They've won the last 4 out of the last 5. How can we? Like, I know.
Tell me
the
them games.
performances
Tell me
aren't
them
ama-
games. Tell me the
but
games.
I know the performances
The
haven't
4
been
out of the
amazing,
last
but
5.
they've still won.
The 4 out of the last 5. The story that he's just told in terms of how the win comes about is relevant for every one of them wins. It's relevant for the West Ham one. It's relevant for the Wolves one. It's relevant for this game. So what I'm saying is, yeah, okay, when the Invincible team would do it, or when Chelsea of 05 would do it, it would be sprinkled in between us beating a team 4-0 and 3-0 and being dominant and looking resolute at the back and looking like we can't concede. Man United, it's only them wins.
Yeah.
They're
Even
not
a-
going
even-
and beating teams 3-0, 2-0, nice comfortable wins. It's just these ones. Heart in your mouth.
They beat West Ham 3-0, didn't they?
Yeah. But what I'm saying...
I get
To that point, though, they beat West Ham 3-0, and they conceded 22 shots to their 12 shots. So, like, West Ham had almost doubled the shots, and that's the point I'm making is, in the long term, if this is ever going to turn into you becoming a Liverpool, Manchester City, a very serious team, that's not happening to you, ever. Let alone on a one-off. Liverpool will never play West Ham and concede 22 shots and only have 12. That home or away, it'll never happen. Let alone what? Right. So that happened last week. Let's look at what the shots were this week. Do you know what that is, Josh, mate?
as in for this game.
For this game, the stats are Manchester United had 5 shots less than Aston Villa. So it's a consistent basis there with Aston Villa having double the shots on target that Manchester United did. So again, you're winning, but it's not looking like I'm seeing a process that is repeatable. And in the long term, he isn't the guy to take you to the... Don't get me wrong. I think he's actually... It's turning around a little bit, and I'm like, okay, you're not actually as bad as earlier this season. You've got some of your better players back, and the match winners are coming good. Fair play. But I would definitely change Ten Hag in the summer for someone who's a more competent tactical manager than him, who was more emotionally connected to the players, because that guy clearly is not connected emotionally, and who could get the best out of them.
If they were to change, would that now be Ratcliffe's decision? Like, would he
Yes.
he would have full decision over that?
100%, yeah.
And where would your gut
I mean,
lead
arguably
you?
it'd be Brailsford's decision.
Where
but
where would your gut lead you? Do they change at the end of the season?
I've said it from the start. I think from the moment that they came in and they took over the club, I honestly do think the writing was on the wall for Ten Hag, because you know what they're going to do. Like we saw it with our owners. Owners come in, they want to completely gut the entire football club and they want to make it their own.
yeah.
And look, there's an argument to say you do that over time, and that's what we did so poorly. And maybe they will do a sort of a more gentler transition at Man United. I think actually that's the smarter way to go. But that may not be with the manager, that might be with the playing staff. So I honestly do think they go in there and they make a change. But actually, you could see it by the end of this season. If they do make Champions League football, you could argue that Ten Hag has left them in a good place, and then they can go on and progress. I think you can say two things. I think you can say overall he did a relatively good job at United, and then left them in a good place, but he's not the right man long term. And that's kind of what we're saying generally, maybe with Poch. But
Do you know
I think
what's
that's the case.
mad? Like, I get that Klopp's won league titles at Liverpool, but in a time where in the space of 2 seasons, Liverpool have finished outside the Champions League spots, and then this season they're going to finish in the Champions League spots. I get if it's expanded to 5th. If Man United finish 5th this season, Ten Hag's gone in, he's won a cup, and 2 seasons in a row he's guaranteed Champions League football. Without the context of how the games have been going, that would be a bit mad that he then gets sacked.
Ultimately, at the end of the season, mate, it doesn't even matter how the games have gone. It honestly doesn't. It's where you finish in the league. That's all that matters.
But what is that relevant to? It's relevant to how much investment and the wages. And Manchester United are comfortably paying out an extortionate amount of money.
Ridiculous.
Some of it you're not even fucking getting the benefit of, because Sancho wasn't even there and he's one of your highest paid players. So, like, if there's one thing in watching that Newcastle documentary that struck me about the owners, is when they sat there in the boardroom and went, wages equals trophies. And at Manchester United, aside from the fucking League Cup, that's not what Ten Hag is doing at all. He's not even close to threatening for a fucking trophy. I mean, that Champions League run was one of the most. It was the most embarrassing Champions League thing that we've ever seen from Manchester United. So, again, like, is fifth bad in the without context? No, fifth isn't bad. Is fifth bad when you're having insane amounts of investment? When you've got the biggest group of players? Maybe City might have a little bit more in terms of value, but it's one of the most valuable squads in world football. Is fifth great? No, it's not. So it depends on how you look at it, in my opinion. We'll wrap it up there anyway. It's been a good show, lads. Appreciate everyone who has supported the kick-off. Big thanks to the new lad on his debut, mate. Well done.
Well done, mate.
Smashed it, man. And we'll see you on the next one. Cheers.